Bismillah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayh. Thank you so much for your patience. That was very kind of you guys to come on time and wait for us to find our bearings. Okay. Sorry. So what we'll do, inshallah, is I will give you we'll open up the space with Al-Fatiha. We recite Fatiha for expansion. So we recite it for new openings, new beginnings, and expansion. Whenever we're learning a subject like this, expansion is what we're asking from Allah. It's tawfiq and it's expansion. So when we learn information like this, information about our bodies, information that could potentially change our lives, we're really asking Allah for tawfiq. We're asking for so many doors to be opened. And one intention that our ustads, our shuyukh have taught us, that one good intention can open up 70 doors of tawfiq for you. So just one intention, 70 different doors. So that's a lot. That's a lot of potential of investment that we can bring in, right? So there's things that we can't even imagine how we're going to be bringing in rizq, how we're going to be bringing in tawfiq with this one intention. And this one intention is this is the only intention I want you to have right now for this Fatiha, is that, Ya Rab, O Lord, I just want to connect with you through my body. That's it. Keep that intention with me when we recite the Fatiha. If that intention is pure, 70 other doors will open for us, inshallah. Yeah? Okay. So let's sit, let's recite. Our community of women in the UK, we've been doing a lot of work on our bodies and connecting the Quran with our bodies. So we hold our bodies when we recite the Quran, because we want there to be a physical, spiritual kind of bond between what we're reciting. So I'm going to ask you to place your hand wherever you're comfortable. So either on your heart or on your, what we call the womb space, which is just the stomach area. So wherever you feel comfortable, I place my hand on both. So I place my right hand on my chest and my left hand on my womb space, and this is how we recite the Fatiha in the UK amongst our community of women. So Fatiha is expansion. Expansion happens through breath. You can't recite the Fatiha without breathing all the way through it. Otherwise, it's not going to bring in expansion, right? So when my Ustadha was teaching me the Fatiha, reteaching me the Fatiha, she had me breathing so much through it that she wouldn't allow me to go on to the next word without breathing it proper, taking a deep breath in before, to the point that I started experiencing physical impact on my body from breathing so much, like positive impacts on my body from breathing so much just from reciting the Fatiha. So Fatiha, even the ha at the end, represents the breath, the expansion, the opening. So there has to be a lot of breathing in it. So if we want to, whatever we're going to be learning, there's going to be a lot of information today, a lot. Your body needs to be ready for it. You have to get your body ready for it. And this is how we do it, through breathing and through Quran. So hand wherever you're comfortable. So I'm going to place one on my chest and one on my womb space. Sorry, you're going to have to hear a lot of that. Let me try and drink some water before I... Probably should have had something warm. Okay, bismillah. Deep breath in. Hold. And release. Deep breath in. Hold. And release. Deep breath in, hold, and release. breath in. Hold. And release. I want you to recite the Fatiha with me and imagine and visualize what the Fatiha is. It is shifa. And shifa happens through light. So visualize the light coming into your body and bringing that shifa and visualize it moving in through, down through your body and leaving your body through your feet and taking the darkness and the burdens with it. Deep breath in. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. And we're just going to close that and seal that off with salawat. I'm sorry. Deep breathing whilst we're reciting salawat. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Deep breath in and release. Okay. Bismillah. Welcome to the Seasons Within course. Hopefully, we're a little bit more present in our bodies now and a little bit more kind of embodying this knowledge that we're going to learn. Every single thing that we learn here, I pray and I hope that you understand that the whole reason for us doing this is so that we can cultivate and connect with the spiritual woman inside of us. Everything that we learn, from the biology to the adhkar to the sometimes uncomfortable things to mention out loud in a classroom, all of it is for Allah. All of it is so that each one of us can connect to Allah. Also, I do have a UK accent, so if I'm saying anything that is a word that you don't resonate with, or if I've said something in an accent that you don't understand, please clarify. Because I went to Malaysia, I did the whole course, and they were like, what does this word mean? And what does this, right at the end? And I was like, that was so crucial. You missed that point because you didn't understand the accent, so please tell me, right? So, inshallah, all of this is for Allah. All of this is for you to connect to Allah. So I'm going to give you a little bit about my... did I add it? No, I didn't. So I'll give you a little bit about my background just so you know. So... Very early on, I traveled, I left home at 16 and I started studying in a madrasa to train as an alima. Whilst I was training as an alima, I had a lot of period problems and I got diagnosed with PCOS. Because I kept going backwards and forwards to the doctors and they diagnosed me with PCOS. PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome. It means there's cysts around your ovaries and it causes a lot of period problems, fertility issues, acne issues, all of the stuff that a lot of women are dealing with, especially in the UK, a lot of women are dealing with. I got diagnosed with it. And I specifically remember speaking to the doctor, and it was kind of a very pivotal point in my life where I said, okay, good, now we know what it is, how do I fix it? And I specifically remember him saying, there isn't a cure for this. There's no cure for PCOS. When actually, in fact, now, 15 years on, there is a cure. And I'll give you the cure right now. Managing your stress levels and managing your diet is a cure for PCOS. So many women have come back from PCOS by managing their stress hormones and managing their diet. If we can manage our sugar, our caffeine, how we eat, what we eat, and we can manage how much stress hormone, cortisol level is in our body and the insulin resistance and all of those things, you can come back from PCOS. Which is what I did, alhamdulillah, and what many women that have done the Seasons Within course and then have gone on to further research, they have come back from PCOS. So a lot of women in the UK, I don't know what the situation is like here, but a lot of women in the UK have fertility issues. And it's all based on diet and stress levels and how the body is processing huge amounts of cortisol hormones. So I was diagnosed with PCOS and the doctor said, you better get married early and you better try for a baby early because sooner, come 25, it's going to be very hard for you to get pregnant. And as you can imagine, I was 18 years old. I had just finished my first alima course and I was off to Egypt to study in Al-Azhar and I was super excited. I was 19 actually. And I was like, the world is my oyster. I'm going to go study some more. And now doctor's telling non-Muslim white doctor is saying, you should get married and try to get pregnant. I was like, wait, what? I'm going to Azhar. I'm going to study. I'm going to go travel the world. I've just found deen and love for God. And so it was a very confusing time. Didn't get married. Went to Egypt. Went to study. But all throughout my studies, it was so difficult studying because the PCOS literally governed my life. It really has a lot of, it just dictates a lot of your life. So women with PCOS, are hyper prone to depression. So I had PCOS, and then I had depression in my family. Thank you. What's that tea? Thank you so much. I have a history of depression in my family. So lo and behold, like textbook, I got depression. Right? Because I wasn't taking care of my food and I wasn't taking care of my womb. I wasn't taking care of my body and depression was in my genetics. So come around 25, I had a car accident, I spiraled, had depression. Coming back from depression was where I found the Seasons Within. It was where I found there is a more holistic way of living, and your diet affects your mental health, and your stress levels affect your mental health, and all of how your monthly cycle, how you experience your monthly cycle as a woman affects your mental health. And if you don't know the 4 phases that you go through every single month, you will think you are crazy. And most women do. Most women think there's something wrong with them because 1 week they're super happy, super excited, want to go out, want to conquer the world. And then the next week they're crying at home under the duvet and saying, don't talk to me, I can't handle my own children, my own husband, I can't do anything and I'm a failure. It has nothing to do with us being crazy and everything to do with the fact that there are 4 phases of the month that we go through. And the hormones dictate how we're feeling. So today, inshallah, we're going to learn about how these hormones dictate how we feel and then what we can do to tap into our spirituality through these hormones. So that's what makes this. So the seasons information, the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle is everywhere, all over the internet. Please go back and research more. But what this course has done and why this course is so popular is it's suited to Muslim women on how we can use those hormones to utilize the correct ibadah that we need at that time, at that phase of our cycle. So we're going to start off, everything we do, we start off with the Quran. Everything we do, we start off with the Quran and Hadith. That's the foundation. As students of Deen, this is how we trained. Our foundation for everything first is not biology and science, it's Quran. So we're going to actually understand what the womb is first. Because if we understand the value and the sanctity of the womb, we can then understand it and train to communicate it through its language. And its language is the seasons. But first we need to understand, why is it even important in the first place? And every single one of us who carries a womb or was born with a womb needs to know this. And this is information that we should have been taught as soon as we hit puberty. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about the womb in the Quran. He's spoken and He's mentioned it, and not just mentioned it in, what often happens is when we think about the Quran and we think about the womb, do you know what we think about? We think about the fetus and pregnancy, right? And I want you to today separate the womb from motherhood. The womb is so much more than just motherhood. The motherhood is one aspect. The womb has so much more to give you. So even if you never become a mother, your womb has so much more that you can take from it, and that Allah has given to you as a gift for you. So let's start off with how Allah has described the womb in the Quran. So the first ayah that I want to go through is this beautiful ayah, and listen to the description of the womb. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Did we not create you from an insignificant drop of fluid? We know what that is, right? And then we placed it in a place of safety, a secure resting place. So Allah is speaking about the womb as a secure resting place. It's a place of safety. And not just for the fetus. We're going to go through some other ayahs, which I'm going to show you. There is a lot of information, scientific information coming out now about how women's emotions are connected to their womb. So women who have gone through extreme trauma most often are diagnosed with endometriosis and fibroids and fertility issues, like extreme fertility issues. A little bit of fertility issues is to do with diet and hormones. Yep.
What did you say about the woman's emotions? The woman's emotions are
connected to the womb. So the womb takes a hit. So now the womb takes a hit from unprocessed emotions. Let me give you an example. Actually, we'll come back to that later. Let's go through this. So first, the first thing that we're learning here today is, how has God described the womb? He's described it as a sanctuary, a place of safety. And if you think about it, let's be honest and raw and open, because this is everything we're saying here is connecting us back to Allah. The woman and the womb is a place of safety. It's a place of safety for the fetus. It's a place of safety for us, for our emotions. It's a place of safety for men. Men are nurtured in the womb, and then they spend their entire life finding comfort in the womb of a woman. This is just Allah and how Allah has created the system. This is the nizam that Allah has created and how powerful the womb is. Men take rest in the womb. We take rest from the womb. We have been nurtured and cultured in the womb. So it's a place of safety. This is how Allah is describing it. And then we have the next verse. Now this one's a really powerful one. Like, really focus on this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Surah Nisa, be conscious of Allah. So have taqwa of Allah, through whom you ask one another. So that's just saying that, you know, when you ask for favors from people, and we say, for the sake of Allah, do that for me. That's what that's talking about. But listen to it. It's saying, be conscious of Allah and of the wombs. So when we do tafsir, when we're doing the alama course and we're training, when we do tafsir, the mufassirun have taught us that whenever something comes after Allah's name, it has a very lofty rank. Whenever something comes after Allah's name, it's trying to teach you of the value and the sanctity of it. So if Allah is saying, be conscious of Allah and of the wombs, what is that saying? It's saying that the womb is a highly important thing, and you shouldn't just be thinking about it when you want a baby from it, or when it's giving you period pain, or when the period is not coming. It's not a transactional thing. The womb in itself is sacred, because Allah has spoken about it in a sacred manner. Now here's another thing. I've done this course all around the world, and I've done backward and forward discussions with women, what do you think Allah means by conscious? Be conscious of the womb. And one of the first few things that women kind of think of is respecting the mother, respecting the womb ties, respecting men, honoring the womb. So we do instantly, what happens is we think, this is Allah's sign that we should, this is Allah's sign that the men should be good to women. They should fulfill the women's rights. And whilst that's good, and whilst that's correct, you'll learn through the seasons within course that in this course we take back autonomy. And we say, actually, the men will only ever respond to us in a way that we respond to ourselves. If we don't respect our wombs, if we don't honor our wombs, how do the men know how to deal with that? How do they know how to show love and respect to us when we don't even know how Allah has spoken about our wombs? So, how many times, so look at this, this is a direct command from Allah. It's a command. Think about Allah and about the womb. So how often do we think about Allah, and how often do we think about the spiritual heart and the diseases of the heart, and I have to be conscious of Allah? But how much time have we actually spent thinking about what the womb is and what it can do for us? Granted, the reason why we don't think about it is because we don't have the information. We don't know what to think about the womb. Every time we think about the womb, we think about a child or periods. We don't know what to think about it. Inshallah, today, you'll know. After today, you'll know how to think about the womb through its 4 phases and everything that it needs from you. In another ayah, this is amazing, this one's really good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's actually quite poetic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, indeed, Allah alone has knowledge of the hour, sends down the rain, and knows what is in the wombs. Now, from face value, when you look at this ayah, you're thinking, what is the connection? These are 3 very random things. Yawm al-Qiyamah, rain, and the womb. Why is Allah speaking about these things, these 3 things and putting them in consecutively one after the other? Does anybody want to hazard a guess? What's the connection between these 3 things? Are we going to be a shy audience? Like there's like literally nobody, like this is such a small audience. Like you can just chuck something out there. What's the connection between the 3? Go for it.
It's only what Allah has knowledge of. It's something that we can't even predict.
That's beautiful. That's nice. But I'm going to go, it's even more simple than that. Like it's even more in your face than that. Like that, like there's a bit more thinking involved. It's more easier than that.
Growth.
Oh, what's the growth in Yawm al-Qiyamah? As in they expand? That's nice. I've never heard that one before. That's good. Okay. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, what is the thing that we want from Allah the most? Mercy. And what is rain? Mercy. And what's the Arabic word for the womb? Rahim. Mercy. The Rahamim. There's this Rahamim word play. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, we just want, just don't even do hisab. Just forgive us and just let us see your face, right? And then with the rain, it's mercy, and with the womb is a mercy. Once again, separate it from the thought of motherhood. Because you're going to think, it's because the mother is merciful, and she's ever giving, and she's unconditional. Separate it, because you are not just because you have a womb doesn't mean you have to be a mother. You can be an extremely spiritual and godly woman without ever being a mother. Your womb in and of itself is a mercy to you. And we'll learn that through the seasons. Now, this verse really solidified. You know, when I was learning all of the... Am I allowed to walk down there? Will the camera... Okay. You know, when I was learning... Do I have to... Okay. Okay, you're going to have to move it. I'll just stay. So when I was reading this research about endometriosis being connected to women with trauma and experiencing extreme emotions that didn't get processed, and then the womb takes a hit and you get womb issues, big womb issues like endometriosis, you have to get a hysterectomy, you have to have fibroids like checked, and you know, all of these problems. When I was learning that, I was reading loads of articles about it, and then I went back to the Quran and I found this ayah. And this ayah just solidified it for me. Allah has said in the Quran, Allah knows that which every female bears and that which the womb absorbs. or that which the wombs absorb and that which they grow, and everything with him is measured. Now, face value, you're going to say this is about pregnancy, and face value, you're going to say that which every female bears is pregnancy, and that which everything the womb absorbs, you're going to say miscarriage. But I'm going to question you on this. If it's a miscarriage, the womb releases it. Why didn't Allah use the word release? Allah used the word absorb. So there is something the womb is absorbing in, not releasing and letting go. So there's something, so face value, it looks like it's a verse about pregnancy. But as we know with the Quran, and as the Mufassirin have taught us, there is layers upon layers in every ayah. And in every generation, there is a new layer that's revealed to us, and we new understanding of what Allah is teaching us. Based on the science that exists today, we can say that the womb is absorbing something. What is it? It's our emotions. It's the emotions. It's every time a family member passed away, and you had to step up, and you had to say, okay, my parent has passed away, my grandparent has passed away, my uncle, my son, my child, my sister has passed away, and I can't sit and grieve. I have to get this done, and the funeral situations, and all the community is coming, and you didn't get a chance. And then straight after that, you went straight into work. And then you did this and that, and then your children, and all of your needs, and and life is so fast-paced. You got a divorce, and you were so worried about how to provide and take care of your kids, you didn't get to process the grief of the divorce. Anything that has happened to you that you didn't get time to process, where is it going? To the womb. And this is why they're coming up with this research of when you have experienced unprocessed emotions and grief, physical impacts take place in the womb. So fertility issues, period problems, all that stuff. This ayah, I wanted to just add because it's one of my favorite du'as to recite. The wife of Imran, she recited this dua, and clearly it's so beloved to God. Like, God has loved this dua so much that He preserved it in the Quran. It is the dua, Lord, I have dedicated whatever is growing in my womb entirely to you. So accept it from me. Now think about every dua that has ever existed and come from the mouth of a woman ever. Now think about how many of them have been preserved in the Quran. This one has. It means Allah really loves this dua. Once again, separate it from pregnancy and motherhood. She was reciting it because she was pregnant and she wanted a son that she could put into Masjid al-Aqsa, and she could say, I'm going to dedicate my child to, I'm going to have a boy. This boy is going to be given as a khadim to Masjid al-Aqsa. And what actually happened? Allah gave her a daughter. Allah gave her Maryam alayhi salam, and the mother of Sayyidina Isa, which was like she made this dua. It was so beloved to God that even her intentions, remember the intentions and the 70 doors of Tawfiq? Her intention was so beautiful that God said, well, you have no idea. A Nabi is going to come from this lineage. And one of the greatest is going to come from this lineage. So it is an ayah about pregnancy, but our Ustad, our teachers have taught us there's more. Because the womb you'll learn through the 4 phases of the cycle today, that the womb gives you different energy levels all throughout the month. Let's make this dua in accordance to these 4 phases so that whatever is coming from our bodies at the time, may it be dedicated to God. So when we're resting, may it be for God. And when we're working hard on our families and feeding our families and taking care of our husbands and doing all the hard work that we need to do for our communities, may it be for God. May it all just be for God. Now hadith, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah created the creations. And this is a hadith in Bukhari, by the way. And I'm just going to say, I studied the whole Alima course. And I'm sure that we must have gone through this hadith, but nobody stopped to say, did you get it? Did you understand how valuable this is? Nobody stopped to say that to us. So even when we're learning information, we're not learning it in the context of how we need it as women, as Muslim women in our lives. Allah created the whole of creation. And when He finished the creation, the rahim, the womb, spoke to Allah. So there's one metaphorical womb. The Prophet ﷺ is saying there's a metaphorical womb, this hadith is in Bukhari, that represents all wombs. And Allah had gave the womb permission to speak to Allah. And the womb said, Ya Allah, in this place. So in another hadith, we know that the place was at the arsh of Allah. In this place, I seek refuge with you from all those who sever me or sever ties with me. Then Allah speaks back and says, won't you be pleased if I keep good relationships with the one who keeps good relations with you, and I sever relations with the ones who sever relations with you? And then the womb says, yes, my Lord. And then Allah said, then that is for you. Listen to how beautiful this conversation is, how loving this conversation is. So as a student of Deen, purely for research purposes, once I heard this hadith, I thought, wait, what? We have something in our body that has spoken to Allah? I wonder if there's something in the men's body that has spoken to Allah. So I went on a big research rabbit hole, and I tried to find something that exists on the male body that has spoken to Allah. Not because this is a war. Hey, I'm very pro men, head of our households, masculinity, we honor it, we love it, as you'll see all throughout the course. But I just needed to know. And up until now, I haven't found any narration that said there's an organ on the male body that has spoken to Allah. And this is not to belittle our men. We love and honor our men. But this is to understand the value of the thing that you carry in your body every single day. It has spoken to Allah. It has, what's happening here? What is this conversation? It's a pact of protection. It has a pact of protection. Allah is saying, anybody who severs you, anybody who harms you, I cut off ties with them. And I didn't understand this. Well, I didn't understand. I was in Australia, and our sheikha, she was saying that her sheikh was teaching a huge group of men when she was a young girl. So this was back in the 60s. And she said, when I was a young girl, we were in a room full of men, and our sheikh said to the men, women have it so easy. Women have a direct connection with Allah. You know, us men, we have to go through the women to find Allah. Why? Because they have so many responsibilities. They have so many duties. It's a lot harder to be a man than it is to be a woman. We are very lucky. We are very blessed, because if a man wants to find Allah and he mistreats his wife, cut off. If a man wants to connect to Allah, he mistreats his daughter, cut off. If a man wants to connect to Allah and he's rude to his sister for no reason, cut off. They have to honor all of the ties in there, because there's no such thing as a man of Allah who mistreats women. They don't exist. They can't come together. Because treating the women who are treating, because otherwise it's classed as dhulm. You can't be a man of Allah and be a zalim at the same time, right? So for us, we're really lucky, because we have an element of duty towards our children. We don't do dhulm on our children. We can't be connected to Allah if we do dhulm over our children. However, for the men, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. They have so many responsibilities. But for us, we have this pact of protection. This is where it comes from. This is where that thought, when the sheikh said, we have to go through the women to really to be connected to Allah, it was this. It's because Allah had put a pact of protection over the womb. So now, let's leave the men out of it and take it back to self-responsibility. Because it's not about the men. The men are doing the best they can. What about us? How many times have we severed ties with our own womb? So how many times have we connected to the womb or disconnected to the womb? Every time we have a period and we have period pain and we choose to take paracetamol instead of actually addressing the problem. That's saying, because the womb still feels pain when we're having period pain. It's just that the receptors no longer work when we're taking paracetamol. So the body's still feeling pain, but we're saying to the womb, that your problem is not my problem. Is that not severing ties? Is that not disconnecting? So then this is how do we find Allah if we're neglecting our own wombs? How do we find Allah if we're disconnecting from our own wombs? Every time the womb is screaming for help and it's saying, I have issues. I need you to stop having coffee on an empty stomach in the morning. It's hurting me. I need you to stop having so much sugar. It's hurting me. And the womb is screaming out with period pain or fertility issues or premenopause issues. And we're saying your problem is not my problem. Let me give you chemicals and tablets and all these, the pharmaceutical things. That's disconnecting. Now this is a beautiful hadith. It's beautiful because in Arabic it's a word play on all the ra, ha, mim words. Right? So Allah has said, the Prophet ﷺ has said that the merciful are shown mercy by Ar-Rahman. Be merciful on the earth, and you will be shown mercy from who is above the heavens. And the womb is named after Ar-Rahman. So whoever connects with it, Allah connects with him. Whoever severs ties with it, Allah severs ties with him or her. So once again, reiterating this fact that if we want to be women of God, if we want to be women who are spiritual and connected to Allah, there has to be a very conscious presence in our own bodies. You cannot be running around like a headless chicken and saying, Allah, Allah, I want Allah everywhere. But then your body is aching, it's hurting, it's struggling, it needs help. There has to be presence in it. And most of the time, women who haven't experienced presence in their body, it's uncomfortable to sit in it because you have to then address the issues. You have to address the discomfort of, I don't like how this feels when I'm sitting alone. I don't like how it's bringing up all the things that I didn't address. So now that we understand the sanctity of the womb, that was a very brief introduction. If you go into Quran and Hadith, there's so much. There is so much the Prophet ﷺ has said. There is so much that Allah has said in the Quran about the womb. But that was just a very brief look into the womb is sacred. If you think about it, it is a chosen vessel. Just think about this for a second. There is nothing else in the universe that can bring life from the spiritual realm into this physical dunya except the womb. Allah solely created the womb for this job of bringing, it's not the only job, but this sacred job of bringing, it's like a portal. So we have the land of the souls where the souls are sitting, and when a child is born or when the child gets to a certain age in pregnancy, the soul travels and is blown into the child's body, right? So the ruh comes from the land of the souls into the belly of the woman. So it's a portal. It is a spiritual portal that connects this world to the spiritual world. That's big. There is nothing else in the world that can do that. There's nothing else in the world that can do what the womb does. And think about it, just actually think about it for a second. If we actually use our imagination, had Allah wanted, humans could have grown from the earth. We're made of clay. We could have grown from the earth like potatoes. If Allah wanted, we could have grown from the trees like apples. Had Allah wanted, we could have literally come walking out of the ocean because we're 70% water. All of those things would have made sense. But there was a very significant place and a significant space that is honored with the word safety, security. It's a place that holds. It had to be some place very special in animals and in humans that could hold the ruh that travels from the spiritual world into this world, and that is the womb. And we are born with it, and we carry it every single day. If we knew this information, we would walk different. We would talk different. We would treat ourselves with respect. Forget men treating us with respect. We would treat ourselves with respect. Our choices of like the food that we eat and the things that we do to ourselves when we overwork ourselves and we don't have enough sleep. I didn't have enough sleep last night, but usually I get a lot of sleep and I do honor my womb. But this idea of not knowing what you carry and then living your life as a dishonor to what you carry, that needs to stop. Needs to stop today. Because now you know what Allah has said about you. Now you know what the Prophet ﷺ has said about you. Needs to stop. Right. Now that we know the sanctity of the womb, now let's learn the language of the womb. Because when you love something or when you love someone, you have to learn their language. In the UK, we have scholars that come from abroad, and we have people come from all over, and we have like the like the Arab scholars that come, and like the South Asian community mean so well when they're trying to do khidmah of the sheikh, but there's a language barrier, and they're like, sheikh, you want tea? You want tea? Laban? Like, you want milk? You want this? And there's this like constant lack of communication because of this. We don't know the language of the one we love. Now we're trying to learn. If we want to communicate with our wombs, we have to learn its language, and its language is the seasons. So what we're going to do is now we're going to go to science, and we're going to go to all the basic biology that we should have been taught in schools that we weren't taught. Are you guys okay? Does anybody have any questions before we move on to this section? Are we going to be a quiet class today? Is that what's going to happen? Are you guys shy? I can't imagine South Africans being shy. You guys are very friendly, by the way. Very friendly and very chatty. Okay. Infradian rhythm. Infradian rhythm is the scientific name for the womb's language. The womb's zaban, like the womb's, it's lugha, right? The infradian rhythm is the name for the 28-day cycle. I'm going to say 30-day cycle, but scientifically they kind of still call it 28 days, but I'm going to go 28 to 30-day cycle. Women have two body clocks. We have the 24-hour body clock, and we have the 28-day body clock. So, yep. Oh, okay. Also, you might need some more notepad. I think they might need, some people are on like the second side. Should we get a little bit more? Also, how great are these notes that the girls, that Zahra printed out? Like, I really love this. Oh, you have some of the narrations in there. We have two body clocks, 24 hours. Sorry, it's going to be a lot of information today. You're going to leave with a headache, but I promise you, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good headache. 24-hour cycle, and then the 28-day cycle. So the 24-hour is we sleep, and then we wake up, and then the cortisol level, like the hormones shoot up in our body, give us energy, and then like the hormones that exist for the 24-hour cycle is separate, and then we have the 28-day cycle. Men operate on the 24-hour cycle. The world was created around the men's cycle. It was not created, especially the corporate world, it was not created for the female cycle. And this is why we have women who are in corporate work, women who are working like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. They have fertility issues, they have health issues, all of this, because it wasn't designed for us and our bodies. So this second body clock, which is the 28-day, 30-day cycle, this influences so much of our body, influences our brain chemistry and our physiology. So our brain, so the research shows that our brain changes up to 25% from one end of the cycle of the month to the other end of the cycle. Now just think about that for a second. A quarter of your personality has changed from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. And we think we're crazy. It's not us. It's all happening inside of us. Our brain actually changes up to 25%. That's a lot. That's a lot. Our immune system changes. This 28-day cycle impacts so much of us. It impacts our brain. It impacts our immune system. On the first half of our cycle, you don't need to write this down because we will get around to this again, but the first half of our cycle, our immune system is stronger. The second half of the month, our immune system is weaker. Basic biology that we just did not know. And then when it comes to gut and metabolism, in the first half of our cycle, our metabolism is slow. In the second half of our cycle, our metabolism is faster. Now, here's the thing. Every time we try and start a diet, we start it, in the first week, it's like, this is great. I can live off salads all my life. Next week, we're binging on lamb chops and all the stuff and steak because the metabolism is faster and it needs more food and it needs heavier foods. So understanding our bodies can really help us understand ourselves and just show a bit of grace to ourselves more than anything else. So what are the seasons? Now I'm going to give you the scientific biological names for them, which is the follicular phase. So there are 4 phases that every woman goes through in a month. If you have a womb, you haven't had a hysterectomy yet. If you have, yet, Allah make it never happen. If you have a womb and you have a cycle and you have a period, these are the 4 phases that you go through. If you no longer have a cycle, make the intention now that you're going to teach this information to someone, because I've delivered this course around the world, and so many women who are postmenopausal have come to courses with the niyyah to teach their daughters and their nieces and the community as well, inshallah. So make that intention. Follicular phase is the first phase. So as soon as you finish your period, you're in the follicular phase. We call this spring. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Do you say autumn or fall? Autumn. Oh, nice. That's nice, okay. It's because the Americans were like, no, it's fall, call it fall. So we give it the name of the seasons just because it's easier to remember. But the official scientific names for it is follicular phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase, and menstrual phase. So menstrual phase is the bleed. Ovulatory phase is when you're ovulating. So most of the time we know when these 2 exist, but we don't really know when follicular phase and luteal phase is happening. But it's easy to remember them as spring, summer, autumn, winter. I need you to just give yourself 30 seconds to memorize this now, because I'm going to keep saying, I'm going to use these words interchangeably, and you need to know them. So just, I think, are they there? This bit? Actually, you know here, just right here where I've got spring, summer, and I've done this, just write down follicular. I'm acting as though I didn't create these, I didn't actually design these myself. Oh, right. Okay. I promise you I designed these myself. It's just been a while. I haven't taught this in like a month, so, okay. So, spring is? Ovulation is? Don't look at the board. Okay. Luteal phases? And when you're bleeding, you are in? Okay, good. We got it. So let's talk about what actually happens inside the body throughout these 4 phases. Now, this is the big, beautiful dance that your body goes through every single month hormonally. And I'm going to ask you, for the sake of this course being short today, and because it's like a crash course and we don't want to blow your minds, you know, and have you like leaving with, you'll leave with a headache, but we don't want you to leave with a migraine. So we're going to keep it simple today. I'm going to ask you to focus on 2 hormones today, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen is this blue hormone here, and progesterone is this pink hormone here. Every single month, our hormones go on this big, beautiful ride, and we're just riding the roller coaster. And we think that we're the same every single day, and we think we should be the same every single day, but can you see the difference? Can you see the huge differences that happen in our bodies? So we have to be a bit merciful with ourselves and understand the language that the womb is speaking. So day 1 of the cycle is the first day of your bleed. This is the biological, this is scientific, like this is what how in the medical field, this is how they judge it. I know as Muslims, we're ingrained as Muslim women to think the first day of our cycle is the day we finish our period, we do the ghusl and we pray our salah, right? So it's kind of like ingrained. However, the first day of your cycle is the first day of your bleed. As you can see, the first day of the bleed is when all of the hormones have gone really quiet. Really quiet. There shouldn't be, if you've got period pains, your hormones are probably a little bit funny. But generally speaking, there shouldn't be period pain. There shouldn't be aching, and there should be a little bit of discomfort from the heaviness of the bleed, but there shouldn't be a lot of pain because all the hormones are silent. So let's say that you're bleeding for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe around 6, 5 or 6 you finish. And then as you transition from, what season was this? Good. You guys are awake. Good. So this was winter, and as we leave winter and we're transitioning into spring, which is the follicular phase, we have a hormone that's slowly on the rise. This hormone is estrogen. Now, estrogen makes you behave like a very different woman to the woman you are when you have progesterone in your body. Estrogen is a very different lady, And progesterone is a very different lady. And Allah has given us both because we need both. And this is why the womb is a mercy for us. And we'll talk about why we need both. But estrogen is on its way up. So as we're in spring, let's mark spring. You have like a mini little graph on your thing if you want to make notes on it. As we go into spring and estrogen is on the rise, we're getting more and more confident, more sociable. We're feeling good about ourselves. Estrogen is the feel-good hormone. It makes you feel really good about yourself, right? And you want to socialize, you want to talk to people, you want to do khidmah, you want to take care of the community, you want to take care of your kids, you want to take care of your husband. Husband looks his best around this phase. Like he just looks like the most handsome man in the world. Here, when you're in summer phase, why? Because you're ovulating. And Allah, that's the natural way, the method that Allah has created, that when you have estrogen in your body and you're ovulating, this is the time when you want to connect to humans, you want to connect to people, you want to connect with your husband. So as we go from this is spring, and as we're transitioning to summer, summer starts around here. When you ovulate, this is your summer. Now, sometimes I teach this course, and women, especially women in the West, I don't know how it happens here, but we're so kind of masculine in our approach. We're like, no, but tell me which day exactly do I start spring and which day exactly do I finish summer? And it's a very masculine approach, isn't it? It's like, but tell me when, exactly when. The body is a bit more softer than that. The body is more feminine. It may be that you're in spring in the morning and you transition to summer that evening. So it's a slow hormonal process. As you can see, the curves of the hormones are very, like it's a transition. So I'm going to say summer, in the middle of your cycle, when you're ovulating, that's when you transition into summer. When you have peak estrogen in your body, this is when you have the most amount of energy out of the entire month. This is when you can do the most amount of khidmah for your family. This is the time when you really want to connect and you feel really romantic towards your husband and you love him and there's nothing that this guy could do wrong and you overlook all of his faults. This is the time where you want to take your kids out on adventures and you want to do so much for the world and you have so much love to give. And then this is all of summer. And then as you're leaving summer, going into autumn, there is a whole new hormone coming into your body. And this is progesterone. So as you're leaving summer, progesterone is rising. And this is you transitioning into autumn. Autumn, I would say there are two phases of it because autumn is quite long. You have early autumn where you still have a lot of energy from the estrogen. But then you have late autumn, which is this section. So this is early autumn. You still have a lot of energy because estrogen is still in your body. Late autumn, estrogen is very low, and you are a whole different person. Now, estrogen makes us feel happy-go-lucky, very forgiving, very overlooking, very sociable, very confident. Progesterone is a very important hormone. It makes you want to step back. It makes you wiser. It makes you reflect a bit more. It makes you think and feel more. And you know, here's the thing. The dunya loves the estrogen-filled woman. Dunya loves a woman that says, yeah, sure, I'll do this. And yeah, I can take this. Yeah, I can do that for you. Yes, I can. And grafting. And yeah, call your family over. Let's cook a big meal. Let's get everyone together. Dunya, even in the workspace, the corporate workspace has no space for the progesterone-filled woman. They only have space for the estrogen-filled woman. That's all they ever want from women in the corporate world. Always be happy, always look your best, always be on point, sociable, and everything that we expect from you. The reason why the dunya doesn't like the progesterone-filled woman is because she's the spiritual woman. The estrogen woman is the spiritual woman too, but the progesterone-filled woman is she's not taking anything. For her, it's just her and Allah. And this is why what happens is in the second half of your cycle, you get very tired of people. Allah gives you this hormone so that you get tired of people, so that you then retreat and you say, you know what? Forget the dawats, forget the people, forget like grafting every day for my children, my husband, my family, my community. None of it matters if I don't have my God, if I don't have my Lord. So the progesterone-filled woman, here she's still got a bit of energy, she can still keep going, but here, When progesterone is like, this is her late autumn, this is her saying, bas, I'm done. I need to rest. I need to be with Allah. I need to pray tahajjud. I need to do my dhikr. I need to be alone with my Lord. And this is why we needed both. Because we need estrogen inside of us. This is a rahmah from Allah. We need estrogen inside of us because we're humans and we need community. We need to connect to community. And then we need progesterone because we keep forgetting that the dunya is not everything. We keep forgetting that our children are not everything. We keep forgetting that all the other relationships are not everything. Allah is our everything. So the progesterone makes you step back. Estrogen, the dunya, do you know what the dunya has given? Dunya doesn't like the progesterone-filled woman. It's given it a name. You know the name in the corporate world, what they call it? PMS woman. The PMS woman, the hormonal woman, the crazy woman, the dunya has titles for the woman that wants God. They have titles because she's so tired, sick and tired of people. And she just wants her and Allah, and she just wants to rest and be with her Lord because really she's a soul, she's a spiritual soul. They have names for her. They don't have names for the estrogen-filled woman. They love her, right? So they give her these names in business, in workplaces. Oh, she's a bit hormonal. Oh, don't go near her. And I've been in workplace environments where men have said that to me in my autumn phase, and I'm like, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Somebody's going to get killed today. So just taking a look at the exact same chart, but through a circular motion. Now we have day one of our cycle. What season are we in the day one? Winter. We're bleeding, bleeding, bleeding. Let's say it finishes around here. We've gone into follicular phase. So that's menstrual phase. We go into follicular phase. This is the spring. Spring is like estrogen's coming. We're slowly building up our energy. We're feeling excited. We've got ideas, all of that good stuff. And then we have the ovulation phase. Now here on this chart, it looks like the summer phase is only 3 days long. Don't count that as that. This is just because this chart is for like people who are trying to get pregnant. Summer lasts near enough the same amount of time. So it is a good few days. And then you have autumn. Autumn is split into two. First half of autumn, you still have a bit of energy. Second half of autumn, you need to retreat because your energy is very low. There's very little estrogen in your body, and progesterone has got you feeling irritable and cranky. And if you try and do the same things that you were doing here, where you were like, let me go and be superwoman, here, this is fine because you have all the energy. Here, 2 days before your period, you're going to kill somebody. You will kill somebody. And husbands, bless their souls, they have no idea. Here you are like, you are my love of my life, and you're everything to me. And yeah, sure, I can call your family over, and we'll do this, and we'll do that. And here it's like your mum wants to, what? She wants to come and eat here? I'm done. This 2-3 days before the period, they have no idea. They just need to hide. That's what they need to do. It's not their fault. But if we can explain this to them, there's a lot of husbands that are now understanding the seasons, and alhamdulillah, like they get it now. Okay, just a quick point that I want to make here. How does the spirituality connect with our cycle? And why is womb health important for our spirituality? Why do we have to take care of our wombs if we want to be spiritual women? When our cycle is imbalanced, it causes physical and emotional symptoms, right? So when we have bad periods or bad cycles, it causes physical and emotional symptoms. These symptoms are all happening inside of our bodies, and that creates a really chaotic environment to do spiritual work, to do the skiya work. So when the hormones are balanced and we have natural momentum, the way Allah created our systems to be, and our body isn't suffering all the time, it's a lot easier to pray salah. It's a lot easier to fast. It's a lot easier to do the skiya and reflection work and muhasabah. All of the things that we go to gatherings for and the teachers are teaching us, we can't implement them if the body is in a state of chaos. And how is it in a state of chaos? Based on our diet and our stress levels. If we're not eating the right food, all over the place. So we have to balance the body. We have to make sure our monthly cycle and the 4 phases are exactly where they need to be. Then we can, when we go to the gatherings and we sit with the scholars and they're teaching us amazing, beautiful, life-changing things, it actually does something. It actually can go inside and the work can be done. So this is how womb health directly impacts spirituality. Okay, should we take a break? Do you want to take a 5-minute breather? Or do you want to keep going? Breather. It's a lot of information. We're going to go 5 minutes because there's lots to cover, okay? So we give yourself 5 minutes, stretch. And if anybody has any questions, you can ask. Okay. So it's like you work on people, and then you work on yourself, and slowly you come back on them. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Shall we start? Are we ready? You guys didn't stretch. I'm a bit worried you didn't stretch. There should have been a bit of stretching, you know? Can we just do this, please? There has to be movement. If we're learning and we want the information to sit, we have to move. Okay. All right, how are we feeling? I'm just going to do a check-in. I'm going to ask how you guys are doing. What I'm going to ask is I'm just going to go around. I'm going to ask for one word on how you're feeling right now. I know you probably want to say more. Let's just do one word. Let's start from there. And we'll come down this way. Tired. Good. No, good. Yeah. Whatever you're feeling in this moment, that's good. Okay, tired. Interested. That's good. Open. Fatiha. Good. Tired. Good. Shocked. So I'm saying good to tired because when you hear information, a lot of information, you should feel tired. And if it's information you haven't heard before, you should feel tired. Right? So that's why I'm saying it's good. Shocked, that's a good one. Inspired. That's nice. Understood. That's nice. Amazed. Elated. Ooh, I like that one. Insightful. Informed. That was a British accent there. Informed. I like that. Okay. Curious. Good. Enlightened.
Also enlightened.
Nice.
I have questions.
Good. That's good. We'll have a section at the end. You can ask me as many questions as you want.
Emotional.
I was surprised nobody said emotional. Like, normally we're crying at this point. Somebody's like, nobody told me. There's always one person that's having a full-blown breakdown and saying, I'm 55 years old and I lived my whole life and no one told me. Because we do feel cheated. We feel cheated by the system, right? Intrigued. Amazed. That's nice. Alhamdulillah. This is like when I first learned the seasons, I was angry, I was annoyed, like why we didn't learn this at school. I was like frustrated, but I was excited and I was so interested, and all of these emotions in this room, I had all of them and a lot more, because had we known this information, maybe we would have lived very differently. But we'll go into that. Oh. Oh, no, in this course? No. So, okay. So when it comes to this course, I don't mention menopause because we're covering so much information about the seasons. If we start talking about menopause, it's a lot. And then the menopause is this whole other field. So the womb sciences have the menstrual cycle, the menopause, the fertility. So they all have their phases. Sorry, their own categories. And when it comes to menopause, I'm doing a lot more research on it, but I'm not trained in it. And I can't like fully speak about it, but I was just telling this sister here that my Ustadha said that menopause is like a report card for how you've been treating your body for your entire menstrual cycle life. It literally, if you have menopause issues, it is a report card of how you were working overtime, not sleeping, not taking care of yourself, not eating the right foods, all of that. So for us younger women, it's like if you want an easy transition to menopause, like it's not supposed to be crazy hot flushes, a lot of struggles, depression, mental health problems. If you want an easy transition, you have to take care of your body now. But anybody who is in menopause now, seasons itself is not going to help in that sense, but you can take, so a lot of women come to the seasons course with the intention of not just teaching, but taking this information and implementing it in their life anyway. So I have this one woman who She travels with me when I'm doing a tour in the UK because she had a hysterectomy, and she's always like, she supports this course so much. And she said, had I met you 2 years before I did, I would have never got a hysterectomy. And now I want to be part of this cause and part of teaching people. And what she does is she had a surgical menopause at a very young age because of her hysterectomy. So she's taken all of the seasons information, and now she's tracking her own cycle to see her own seasons. And she said, well, sometimes one season lasts 3 weeks and another season lasts a month. So she's kind of tracking her, and she's kind of found a pattern now. So there is something there that you can take from here, especially the diet and the food and the ibadah stuff. Being able to read your body and what it needs at any given time, you can take that from this course. Yeah? Okay, so let's talk about spring. So what happens in your body in springtime? So you have a renewed sense of energy. So the period has finished. If you go back to that chart, you have the chart on your handouts. If you go back to this chart here, where all of the hormones have been really quiet and really low. All the hormones have been silenced. And then you go into spring, and estrogen comes back up, and other hormones are slowly on their way up. When that happens, you start feeling open, you start feeling light, you start feeling energetic. And every Muslim woman knows that first prayer after that ghusl. Isn't that just the most delicious prayer on this earth? Like, it's the most beautiful feeling, that ghusl. And then that first prayer is just, gives you goosebumps, right? So you're just feeling really light and open and connected. And then as the estrogen level increases in your body, your skin starts looking good. Like, as you get closer to summer, your face and the skin starts looking, in autumn and winter, it may have got a few spots, may be dry and oily in random places. Now your skin's starting to look really good. What does the spring mind look like? The spring brain, so your brain is different. Remember, we said different up to 25% at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. So what does your brain look like in this time? The brain can focus on really complex tasks in spring. So this is the time where you can actually do the most amount of your memorization and the most amount of your studies. Spring is a very brain-heavy time for women. Yeah? And this is the time where you naturally, from Allah, you get new ideas. You have, like, you want to be planning things. You're so creative in your head. You're like, we should do this for the community. We should do this for the kids. We should do. And usually, this is the time where mothers are like, I'm going to bring in a new parenting plan, like this. Like, let's try this with the kids, or let's try this in our marriage, and let's try this at work. This is a time where your brain is working really fast and really well, and you've got lots of ideas. And this is a good time to bring in parenting techniques. When I bring in a parenting technique in spring, it's great. But when I try and bring in a parenting technique in autumn, it lasts 2 hours. 2 hours, and that boy has, like, finished me off, right? So the idea, or the whole theme of spring is new intentions, new ideas. What do we want from this family? What do we want from work? What do we want from this career? What do I want from me this month? With the tawfiq of Allah. So this is when your brain is really active. So what does spring ibadah look like? So what I've done on this course is I've coupled what our brain and body, our biological, physiological and psychological situation is, and I've coupled it with the ibadah that we should be doing at that time. And you don't have to worry too much, because I've literally added it here where it says seasonal worship. I've added all the things here. So spring is when the first ibadah that we do in spring is the ghusl, right? That's the first ibadah that we do. We do the ghusl, and we start off with new intentions. Ya Rab, I just had a shedding experience. I asked for your forgiveness all throughout my winter. As I was shedding my sins, and I was retreating, and I was reflecting. Now I'm back into spring. This is my first act of ibadah, is the ghusl. And now I'm going into the month with new intentions. Always start off with sadaqah, because whatever intention you have, if you can couple it with sadaqah, it's like a potent power. Like it's like a really powerful combination of a good intention coupled with sadaqah. Anything you want to do, our ustads, our shuyukh have taught us, anything you want to do, make the intention, give sadaqah in that moment, and then Allah will open so much tawfiq for you. So we start off the month. So you've retreated in your period, you've reflected, who are you? What are you? What do you want from life? What do you want from Allah? All of that. And then now you're going into spring and you're going to try and bring all of these intentions into fruition. This is our ibadah in spring should be, how do I serve my community? Think about it. Think about what is the need in our community? Because as women who are wanting to connect to Allah, we can't connect to Allah if we don't do khidmah of people. There is nothing more sacred and more important than khidmah of people, especially in spring and summer. So think about, if this is the time where naturally your brain is thinking about loads of ideas anyway, think about ideas for your community. Think about what you can do. This is the best time to do hifz. When I had, because of the depression that I had, and I was on some very, very strong medication, I forgot most of the Quran that we had memorized when we were students in the madrasas. So I was completely heartbroken by this. And then when I came out of depression, I was trying to memorize all the Quran all the time. And trying to memorize Quran in your autumn phase is like so hard. And then you feel like you're a failure. So I kept feeling like I'm a failure. Why can't I memorize like 4, 5 ayahs, half a page every single day? Why can't I do it? And then I felt like a failure. Then I realized, oh, seasons. So in spring, I memorized the bulk of my Quran. Again, like re-memorize it from before. So I memorized the bulk of it in spring and summer. And then in autumn, I just repeat it. I just do the redoing of it. So this is the best time your ibadah should look with your Quran. Your relationship with the Quran in spring should be all about memorization and studying it. So like reading tafsir, reading, like understanding it, going to classes where you can really take in a lot of information. When you're in spring, you can take in a lot of information. Anybody who's in spring today, this course will be a lot easier for you today. Any of you who are in autumn today and are about to start your period in the next few days, God help you, recite extra salawat, because this is a lot of information. This in spring we have low appetite. Remember we said that the metabolism is slower in spring, so this is a good time to fast. This is a good time to make up for our fasts. And then pray in jama'ah. So as you're going, so what I've done here is, as you're going from spring slowly towards summer, this is how your ibadah should look. Summer. Summer is the time where you have the most amount of energy biologically. This is the time where your immune system is the healthiest, and very important fact, and there is no haya in deen, there is no haya in learning very important information. Those of you who know me know that this I find this a very important information to speak about. This is the time where you want to connect with your husband the most. Okay, so this is the time where you have the most estrogen in your body, and that is ibadah. Every kiss, every hug is worship when it is done under the umbrella of marriage. So use that, utilize that. Understand who you are in summer. When you're in summer, you feel like a very desirable woman. You feel that Allah has made you, your skin looks beautiful. You don't get acne. If you get acne in summer, there's a sign that there's an imbalance, like there's something wrong. In summer, your skin should be glowing. Yeah, this is when you feel great. This is when you actually, like, the stomach goes in a little bit as well. Like you feel just, you don't eat as much. You just feel very sensual and very desirable. Allah has placed that there on purpose so that we connect with our husbands. Summer mind. This is when we have the peak amount of confidence. So this is the best time to give presentations, to do collaborations, to do public speaking. This is the best time to do community work. This is the best time to talk to people, have meetings. This is the best time to have difficult conversations. Do not try to have a conversation about things with your husband or your parents or your friends or somebody. Do not try and have that conversation with them in autumn. You're going to end up crying. They're going to end up crying. Somebody's going to cry. So the difficult conversations are for summer. It's for when you're ovulating, because the connection between the brain and the tongue is the best in this time. You should see me trying to give the seasons talk in my autumn. Like nothing makes sense. I'm talking for like 3 hours straight and people are like, what are you saying? You should see it. Like I'm in spring, or I think I'm in spring, so I'm okay today, but you should see it. This is when the best time to collaborate. This is the best time to get lots of work done. You want to clean your house? This is the time to do it. You want to organize your office? This is the time to do it. Anything you want to do that's big and bulky and takes a lot of physical energy, this is the time to do it. Don't try and do these things in autumn. Your body needs rest in autumn. This is the time where we dedicate most of our love to our children, most of our love to our parents, most of our love to our husbands. This is when we dote on them. So here's the thing. Seasons works really well. So women often ask me, okay, so you're telling us all of this stuff, and you're telling me that in spring and summer I have energy and I need to be great to my husband, and then in autumn I need to go and rest and stay, make sure I ask help from my husband. And often the most common question I get asked is, how do we get the husbands on board? And what I always say is something that I learned from the British government, is that whenever you want somebody to be on board with something, you have to tell them and show them how it benefits them. So, how do seasons benefit the men? Because from face value, it looks like, oh, I will do stuff for him for half the month or 3/4 of the month, and then the last portion of the month he is going to have to help wash up, and he's going to have to help clean, and he's going to have to... It sounds like it's going to be a bad deal for the husbands, because maybe they're not doing anything right now. But for all of the couples that I've worked with, and all of the husbands that have learnt the seasons, have benefited from this. They love this. They understand this. Because when you're in your summer, you have so much unconditional love to give to your husband and children. You can give them so much of what they want. If your husband likes food, give him so much of his favorite food and dote on him. If he likes head massages, give him head, and just keep saying, this is because I'm in my summer. This is because I have so much time. Foot massages, take care of him, dote on him and his children and his family, and take care of his family, and keep reiterating, I'm in my summer. That's why I've got lots of energy. And please, and you kind of explain it. And then when you get into autumn, and you keep reiterating, I'm in my autumn, I'm about to start my period, I need to rest, I'm feeling cranky. And if you keep doing that 6 months in a row, husbands get it. They actually understand it. And they actually understand that they get more love in spring and summer and early autumn, let's say spring and summer, if they let you rest just before your period starts. And it works. I've done this. I've done this with many couples all around the world. It works. Men just need to see, logically they need to see, this is the investment, these are the results. The investment is, she's in her autumn, let's give her space. She will be a beautiful, loving wife when she comes out of this. When she comes out of her period, she's going to give me so much love. This is what I'm putting in, but this is what I'm getting out. It's just basic maths for men. So if we can get them on board, also repetition is key. If you keep mentioning, not nagging, nagging is the worst thing we can do for husbands, but repetition is key. Oh, it's because I'm in my summer. Yeah, of course you get this, because I'm in my summer. I feel good, that's why. And and then constantly mention, it's because I'm in my autumn, I need a bit of rest, I need to. So that's how we get them on board. What was I saying? How did I go off on a tangent? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So this is when you're feeling the most creative, the most friendly, the most attractive, and the most forgiving. This is when we forgive everything that our husbands do, and our friends, and our family members, and work colleagues. And this is the time where we're loving, right? So how does ibadah look in summer? How should we practice ibadah? So remember, summer is head-heavy time. Spring, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Spring is a head-heavy time. Spring is all about the mind. Summer, which is ovulation phase, is all about the body. So our ibadah is very body-heavy. Pray in the masjid. When you're in your summer, pray in the masjid. Pray in jama'ah. Connect with your community. Go and check on the people who you haven't seen in a while. Physically use your body as khidmah. Physically use cook for people, feed the homeless, clean other people's homes, clean the masjid, do whatever you need to do. Physically use your body as ibadah. This is the best time for fasting. This is the time where you're hardly going to feel any hunger in your summer phase when you're ovulating. because your metabolism is really slowed down. Because your immune system is the strongest, this is the best time to visit the sick and take care of the poor and the needy. This is the best time to do extra nawafil during the day. So tahajjud, what I found is tahajjud is best complemented. If you're doing tahajjud every night, that's great. But if you're somebody who wants to implement tahajjud is best complemented with progesterone. And daytime nawafil is best complemented with estrogen. So when there's estrogen in our body in spring and summer, you can do your extra nawafil during the day. But when you have progesterone in your body and you're sick of the world and you don't want to see the world and you want to retreat, tahajjud with progesterone in your body is a deadly combination. That stuff will elevate the spiritual journey a lot faster. So during the day in summer, we're doing extra nawafil, we're going to dhikr gatherings, we're fundraising, we're volunteering. And what is ibadah? Intimacy. Intimacy with our spouses is ibadah, and in summer it's definitely ibadah. Why? The Prophet ﷺ was approached by the Sahaba, and the Sahaba said, they were coming to complain to the Prophet ﷺ, and they said, Ya Rasulullah, it's not fair. The Sahabis that have money, they're taking all the ajr. They're getting all of the reward because they get to give sadaqah. We don't, and they get more ajr, and Allah loves them more. And then the Prophet ﷺ, knowing that he's speaking to poor companions, he said, indeed, in every la ilaha illallah, there is sadaqah. So every time you do dhikr of Allah, it is sadaqah, and then it gets better. He said, and every time you are intimate with your wives, it is sadaqah for you. And then the Prophet ﷺ, the companions were really shocked, and they said, Ya Rasulullah, how can it be when we're fulfilling our own need and our own desires, how can it be that we get sadaqah for it? How are we getting ajr for it? It's our own desire and our own need. And the Prophet ﷺ said something so simple and so profound at the same time. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, that if you were to fulfill your need outside of the folds of marriage, would a sin not be written for you? So when you are doing it inside marriage, ajr is written for you. So every kiss, every hug, every stroke, every passionate, loving interaction between our spouses is sadaqah. Every time you look at your spouse with love, you kiss them, or you stroke them, or you hug them, your scales are getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And that is our religion. This is our deen. That you can actually be fulfilling your own needs as a human, and Allah will be making your scales heavy and forgiving your sins for it. This is Islam. Autumn body. So in early autumn, because we're splitting it up to two, in early autumn, this is when your energy drops. So you have high level energy in summer, and it kind of drops a little bit, and you go into medium energy, and your metabolism is speeding up. Late autumn, this is that day. Every woman experiences that one day in the month where you wake up and you go, oh, and you're like, oh, I don't have the energy I had last week. Like you're just like, oh, and you just feel like 20 years older for some reason. And it's because the estrogen has dropped in your body. And this is late autumn. So now you have low energy, you're irritated, you're tired, you have a weak immune system. And this is when your skin is breaking out. And if you've been eating unhealthy all month, PMS symptoms are going to come. What does the autumn mind look like? The early autumn mind is very evaluative. So this is the progesterone coming out. You know, the progesterone-filled woman, she wants to evaluate, she wants to assess. So I read in one of the books that teaches about the seasons. I'll give you the resources for it. I think if they're not on here, I'll tell you about some books that you can read. The woman said that in estrogen phase, you have like rose-tinted glasses. So the world just looks rosy and happy and everything's good and beautiful. But then in progesterone phase, in autumn phase, the magnifying glass comes out. And now you're focusing on every fault on everyone else and yourself. So women who utilize autumn for what it's good for will look at themselves and what they need to improve. Women who are not looking at themselves we'll be finding faults in others. But the whole purpose of it is, so who am I? What am I doing? What was my behavior like this spring and summer? How can I improve? What is Allah pleased with? What is Allah not pleased with? What am I pleased with? What am I not pleased with? How can I improve next month? All of that hisab. So late autumn is about being inward and introverted, and you're doing muhasabah. There has to be hisab over ourselves every single month. I really believe that if women are not using their cycle and they're not using progesterone to do hisab over themselves every month, then it's a waste. There is a waste of progesterone, waste of that hormone, waste of the monthly cycle if we're not doing hisab. Because what happens is every month we're going to make mistakes. Every month we're going to speak out of line in places we shouldn't have spoken out of line. Every month we're going to challenge the fact that our man is our leader, he's a husband and he's beautiful and we need to take care of him and we need to honor and respect him. Every month something will happen. Every month we'll speak out of line with our children in a way that we shouldn't have. Every month we'll have not treated our parents in the way that they should have been treated. The best thing we can do in late autumn is sit and reflect. And you can't sit and reflect if you're still doing all of the things that you were doing in summer. Yeah, come over. Yeah, I'll cook for you. Yeah, let's go to the masjid. Yeah, let's do some khidmah. You can't do that. You need time and you need space to check yourself. And we are so lucky. Men don't have this. We are so lucky that 12 times in the year, if you have a regular cycle, 12 times in the year, we get to do hisab and tawbah. Hisab and tawbah. And not even... we can do tawbah any time, but this is like the hormone inside of our body is forcing you to do hisab and tawbah. So this is the time we become very reactive in our communication instead of responsive. So watch how you speak to your children, your husbands, your colleagues, your friends, because when they could be saying something very simple. If in summer they had said it, you would have been like, ha ha ha. But in autumn they say it, and the house needs to be set on fire. It's very, we're very reactive. But the good thing about autumn is this is the time where we're more assertive. This is the time where we want to focus on detaching ourselves from the dunya and really connecting to Allah. This is when you know what you want from life. Not like from your life and the people around you. What do you want? If you lost everything, if you lost your children, your husband, your community, if you lost your job, who are you? Who are you when you're not a mother and a wife and a businesswoman and somebody who works? Who are you when you're not any of the things that is relational to other people? And this is the time where we nurture the spiritual self. Late autumn, you can feel it. You can actually feel it. You cannot deny this feeling. And if you deny it, you'll be irritable. If you want to go out and socialize with people, you're going to be irritable. But all you want to do as a spiritual woman is just to be with Allah, to sit and to reflect. So, what does autumn ibadah look like? This is in early autumn, you're wrapping up external projects and events. You're finishing off your studying and catching up with lessons. Now, what does your relationship with the Quran look like in autumn? This is very important. In spring, we could memorize the Quran and we can study pages and pages of Quran. In summer, we could recite loads of Quran because we have lots of energy inside of us. But autumn, your relationship with the Quran has to change. You take one ayah, you read the tafsir of it, and then you reflect on it for days and days. All you need in autumn is one ayah, or two ayahs, or a certain passage. You don't need to be studious and learn lots of information, because in autumn, so we said in spring, it's mind heavy. It's the mind's time. In summer, it's the body's time. The intimacy with the husbands, the using your body for khidmah, connecting with people. Summer is all about your body, and you can use your body. Autumn is about the heart. So you're very emotional. You're very sensitive. And I say that in a good way, emotion-full. You are full of emotions and you are highly in tune with sensitivities of people around you and yourself. Right? So this is the time to take one ayah and reflect on it for days and really connect to it. This is the time for muhasabah, istikhara. If spring and summer brought up some questions, Ask Allah, ask and ask and ask Allah in autumn, what should I do? Do your istikhara. This is the time for tahajjud prayer, that night prayer where it's just you and God. And it's just, that is the best thing that you can give to your autumn self, just you and Allah. Excessive dua, silent dhikr, and i'tikaf. So I don't know how you guys practice i'tikaf here, but we have this, South Asians have this notion of i'tikaf is something that you do for 3 days or for 10 days, and it's something in Ramadan, or you do something like a chilla or something every so often. But I would like for you to reframe the word i'tikaf to a more practical thing that we can do in our lives today. And that is like a very short i'tikaf that men, women, teach your children how to do this, teach your husbands how to do this, where you go and take a 2-hour i'tikaf. You go and take a 30-minute i'tikaf. And I learned this from some Caribbean sisters when I was on a retreat with some Caribbean, very spiritual women, and they first taught me how to do this, where they said, right, ladies, we're going out for i'tikaf, and everyone's going to take out their own time. And they said, all you have to do is you go out into nature, you find a spot, you first ask permission from that spot, like from the trees and everything that's doing ibadah around it. You make a little, if you want, a little kind of barrier to say, like, this is, I like getting the sticks and I like making it because I like things like that. But you find a spot and you sit there and you keep your phone outside of that spot. And you can put an alarm on your phone, or, you know, if you're restricted for time, or you just sit there with like an undefined amount of time. And you sit and you say, I'm going into i'tikaf. And you sit in that spot and you talk. And you talk to Allah, and you talk, and you talk, and you talk, and you talk, and you talk. And then you talk. And then you pause because you feel like you've talked enough, and then you talk some more. And as women, we can talk to God forever. Like, we have so much to say, and we have so many shikayats, and we have so many things to talk about, and so much pain, and you'll be so surprised the kind of things that come out. Tears come out, joy comes out, gratitude comes out, and you just sit and you talk, and you talk, and you talk, and then you talk some more until you are really done. There's nothing left. You've said everything you needed to say to God. And it may take an hour, it may take like 30 minutes, but you have to keep talking until you have nothing left. And then they taught me that you have to listen. Then you just listen. And Allah gives. Allah speaks. Allah communicates with you. And this is really well done in autumn phase, because you're highly intuitive in this time. You're highly emotion-full in this time. So this is the best time to kind of go out and connect with you and Allah. And you do your 2-hour i'tikaf, and then you go back, and you actually have more patience and more love and more kindness to give to your family and to give to your friends and the people around you, because you feel seen and heard by God. And you just feel more present in your body. So try and practice that. Okay. So I've got on the worksheets, I have put foods that you can have in each of these seasons. So this is taken from, I've got a little section on the side saying extensive food list is in Elisa Vitti's book, In the Flow. Now, in the Flow book, she explains the seasons from it's a very biological thing. It's a very heavily biological thing. It's a non-Muslim woman. And she talks about all the foods you can eat in each of your seasons. The reasons why we eat certain foods in certain seasons is because they help that specific hormone. For example, in summer, if I get a little bit of spots, like if I get a bit of acne, that's a sign that I have estrogen dominance. There's too much estrogen in my body. So all I do is I start having spinach and broccoli for 2-3 days, the acne goes. Because spinach and broccoli soaks up excess estrogen, right? So everything that we choose to eat in every phase is important. It helps those hormones in those specific times. So just go through that. Just have a look at that list. You have that to look through. So how are we doing? How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Do you want to stretch for 5 minutes?
Hi, I just have a question. So, like, going back to the physical part of autumn phase, like, obviously there's a lot of hormonal changes, and I personally go through a
Yeah, okay, so migraine, maybe let's just address PMS. Because migraine, if I speak about your migraine specifically, I think there may be a chance I get it wrong, because temperaments, you know, mazaj, a person's mazaj is really important. You have to know that. And I know that Hakims talk about understanding a person's mazaj before curing their migraines. So what I can do is kind of go back and I can talk to you about PMS. PMS is directly linked to sugar, caffeine, processed foods, and stress. So fried foods, processed foods, sugar, caffeine, and stress. If you have high stress levels, you're going to get PMS. Anything that you can do to reduce your cortisol levels every single day, that can help. So I don't know if I've got a slide on this, but okay. Can everyone write this down? This is really important. The best thing that you can do for yourself, for your womb, and for your female hormonal health every single morning is to have a protein-heavy breakfast. The worst thing that you can do for your womb every single morning is to have sugar and caffeine put together. And I don't know about you guys, but in the UK, the staple breakfast is toast and tea. And toast and tea, and what is toast? What are carbs? Sugar. So sugar and caffeine is the worst thing to give your stomach first thing in the morning. Why? Because as the cortisol hormone comes up, when you add sugar and caffeine to the system, it pushes the cortisol levels way higher than it should have been. So it makes the cortisol level a lot higher. Cortisol levels is a stress hormone that we need, but we don't need too much of. Right? So we need the right amount of it. So when we're having sugar and caffeine first thing in the morning, we're telling the body we actually need more cortisol than we actually do. And then that takes a knock-on effect, PMS and period problems and period pain and all this stuff. So if we have protein, any excess cortisol levels that's in the body, the protein soaks it up. And it releases slow, like the sugar levels don't go crazy all throughout the day. With protein, it slowly releases energy. So we're talking eggs, we're talking eggs, beans, fish, meat. You're better off having last night's meat for breakfast. A little bit, don't overdo it. But last night's meat than having toast and tea in the morning. You're better off having a protein heavy breakfast. And then healthy fats. So avocado, butter, ghee. You know all the good stuff that our ancestors were eating? And we thought we knew better because we wanted to westernize ourselves. Look where it's got us, right? So ghee, yeah, all of that good stuff. So any healthy fats and protein. So even like having like a lentil soup. I just mostly go with avocado, eggs and fish, like tuna in the morning, or last night's meat. That's the best thing that you can do for you. If you can do that, and if you can control sugar directly connects with PMS. So I don't know how much sugar you eat. Quite a bit?
No,
you don't eat at all?
I do eat sugar, but I've limited it recently, so I stopped. My mother suggested me to. So I stopped drinking Coke, I stopped eating chocolate, I stopped eating a lot of sweet.
Good.
So it's only like my necessary carbohydrates.
Okay, that's okay. If you're having carbs, couple it with protein. Don't have carbs by themselves then. Also, what about caffeine and what about stress levels?
Unfortunately, I do love my coffee.
Do you have it on an empty stomach?
A lot of the time.
Okay, that might be it. That might be it. That's the worst thing we can do for our wombs, to have caffeine on an empty stomach. What to do is eat protein first and then have the coffee on top. Wait 20 minutes and then have the coffee on top. Okay? All right. Do you want to stretch? You want a 5-minute stretch? Okay, go. I think you maybe get some fresh air because it's getting a bit stuffy in here. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Does anybody... Ooh, too close? Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts they want to share? Just any thoughts, any reflections? This is a good time to just share. So what happens is during this course, I'm teaching, but you're having your own insights and realizations from Allah. So share them with us, because you have wisdom to share. So if there's any reflections, any thoughts that you have, please share.
Can you have this course for men rather?
That is the second most common question. First is, how do we get the men on board? And then they say, when are you teaching the men? Inshallah, I'm going to write a book. I think that's the easiest way. Not the men like to read. They don't. They don't like to read. But I'm hoping that if it's in somebody's house and the wife goes, look, a lot of women have gone back from the courses and shown them the notes and said, like, and taught. But it definitely has to come from a teacher and this kind of setting for men to really appreciate it. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just about trying to get women on board. Like, that's a battle, getting the women to take care of themselves.
Then I will attest to because we've not been able to get this group.
What's it? Yeah, you know, right? It's hard. Like, it's hard to get women to come and learn about themselves. How are we going to get the men to come in to learn about the women, right? So, but it could really benefit men. Men would really understand marriage so much better if they understood, if they knew this, and if they knew how they could benefit from it. And if I was to teach men, I would teach it very differently. I know how it would work for the mind of a man and how to teach them. Okay, Bismillah. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about winter. Oh, so I've mentioned a little section here. PMS is, I've written here that PMS has almost become a socially accepted construct, but it's not. It's not like most women have PMS. If you have any type of symptom before your period starts, if you have bloating, if you have sore breasts, if you have migraines, if you have like constipation, if you have what's the other one? Really low moods, anger, mood swings, all of these things. This is all PMS, and we shouldn't be experiencing that before the period. We shouldn't be experiencing, like we shouldn't be experiencing period pain, we shouldn't be experiencing this chaos before. Actually, the progesterone is supposed to make you quite calm. And if you're not, progesterone is like they say it's like what's the word? I want to say morphine, but it's not. There's a certain drug they use in the medical field. They say that progesterone has the same effect. It calms you down. What's that? No, I don't know what that is. But as in, progesterone naturally makes you feel a little bit, what's the word? A little bit like on a natural high. Like you feel relaxed. Ecstasy is not like zoned out, but relaxed. Progesterone is supposed to make you feel zoned out and relaxed. It's not supposed to make you feel irritable. This is why, let's go back onto the chart. When progesterone, so here you feel really, if you're really living in sync with your cycle, you're supposed to be feeling very relaxed and calm and content and tawakkul in Allah. All of that's happening here. But as this comes down, as progesterone's on its way out, you feel irritable because it was progesterone that was making you feel calm and relaxed. So, what was I saying? Oh yes. So PMS is a sign that something's wrong. It is unnatural and it is a scream for help. And most people, anybody who gets PMS from up to 2 days before your period and all the way up until 10 days before your period, that is a sign that something is wrong. It means that what you're eating and how you're living is not okay. How much you're sleeping, how many hours you're sleeping. Every woman should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep in spring, summer, and early autumn. And in late autumn and in winter, she should be getting, my naturopath said, she should be getting, what did she say, 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I was like, that's not even possible. How is that even possible? To do everything you want to do in the day and have 9 hours of sleep. But in winter phase, in late autumn and winter phase of your cycle, when you're on your period, you should be having 9 hours of sleep. You need to, because your body is shedding. It's shedding lining and it's exhausted. So there needs to be a lot of sleep. When we don't sleep, so I was talking to my friend in Cape Town the other day, and I was having a rant about, so I do a lot of women's work, but I'm very pro-men. And I'm always talking about how hard it is for men, right? And I was saying to her, I can't handle women who are crying who haven't slept that night. I'm like, if you didn't sleep that night and you're gonna come to me emotional, I'm not gonna listen to you. Go have a nap, because you need to sleep. Because our hormones are chaotic when we don't sleep. We are emotional, so emotional when we don't sleep. So we need a minimum of 7 hours of sleep every single night, if you want to be a reasonable, decent human being working in society, functioning. So I can't tolerate, so when women come to me and they're highly emotional, I'm like, how much did you sleep last night? And how much have you been sleeping this week? And if they haven't been sleeping enough, I'll say, I'll talk to you, go sleep, and I'll talk to you when you're a little bit more steady. And, you know, and men have to work around this. Men have to work around all of this chaos, right? And mothers don't sleep. Mothers with young children just do not sleep enough, and then they're erratic. Anyway, where do we get? Oh, yes, so it's sleep, your food, and your stress levels will directly impact PMS. And then there is a thing called PMDD. I don't know if you have a lot of PMDD here in South Africa, but PMDD is going crazy in the UK. This is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and this is a severe mood disorder that women are now getting. And that's because of their diet and processed food and sugar and caffeine and all that stuff. And it's showing up as severe emotional, physical, and psychological symptoms. Now, here's the issue that I have with it. When a woman who has PMDD goes to the doctor and she's experiencing extremely low mood, and she's saying to the doctor, I want to harm myself, I want to die, because it's a hormonal problem. It's a diet problem, it's a sleep problem, but she says to the doctor and she says to the GP, I want to die, I don't know why I'm alive. The doctor puts her on antidepressants. Then, she's diagnosed with depression, and then for the next 2 or 3 years, she's now reliant on antidepressants when really the issue was food, sleep, and stress. And this is why the medical system is just, it's exasperating the problem. We have to stop and look at what we're eating and how we're living. These are the two main components to cure majority of female hormonal issues. Here is one of the cures for PMS. If you have PMS, this is my little special recipe. It's not mine. It's not mine. This is a traditional, ancestral thing that our South Asian ancestors have been drinking forever. The golden milk drink. So this is the main component of this magic drink is turmeric, haldi. Haldi is so powerful for the womb and for female hormonal health. So what we do is we drink this drink. If you have PMS, drink this drink 3 days in a row, your PMS symptoms will go, because it's so powerful. So what we do is we get turmeric. I don't know if you guys use powder here. I know turmeric is big here in South Africa, actually. Yeah, so you get turmeric, use the powder, but if you can actually get the actual turmeric, crush it up and then boil it, much better, obviously. But the powder definitely gives a really nice color to the drink. So sometimes I do the actual turmeric, and then I actually get the powder just for the color because it looks nice. Turmeric and black pepper are like a deadly combination. They're like the Prophet ﷺ and Sayyidah Khadija, like they're a really good combo. They really help each other, right? So the black pepper activates I've forgotten the word for it, but there's something in the turmeric that the black pepper activates. So add the black pepper. So this is what we do. Get the turmeric, boil it, crush it, boil it, add the pepper, add the cinnamon stick, and let it boil. So this is all happening in water. And then add your milk. So 2 parts water, let the water boil down to like maybe 1 part, and then add your milk. Depending on how you like it, I kind of like it like a latte, so mine's quite milky. Oh, that's another thing you have here. You have turmeric lattes, you guys. You're clearly a lot more on it than the UK lot. So, and the key ingredient to the golden milk drink is salawat. Because salawat is what? Shifa. Salawat is shifa. So how it works is Allah has given us cheat codes to life. So there's fiqh, there's sharia, and then there's cheat codes that we learned from the Anbiya, and then we learn from the people of God. And what it is the universe works in one way, and then you have cheat codes for the universe. And you see this because the Prophet ﷺ used these codes. So when the Prophet ﷺ would place his hand over the sheep that had 0 milk in its udder and recited the Fatiha over it and said Bismillah, and milk came out, that was one of the cheat codes. And when the Prophet ﷺ placed his hand on people who were sick and recited the Fatiha, it was used as shifa. So the scholars and the shuyukh have taught us that the coding for salawat, its frequency and what it's coded for is shifa. So when we recite salawat over food, when we recite it over drink, the molecules, because we know from like modern day research now that water holds memory and the molecules change according to what you've said inside them. So the salawat that is recited changes the molecules to molecules of shifa. That's it, right? So it is really important that when you're doing this turmeric drink, that you recite salawat over it. And it has to be a very conscious, present experience. Yep. I mean, I am a little bit obsessed, so I do this a lot. So every time I'm like a little bit, my energy level's down, I'm like, where's my turmeric? So I travel with turmeric all the time. But this is best done in autumn. And the reason why I'm going to say that is some people's mazaj is very garm. It's very warm. And if you're having turmeric is warm. So it's going to cause heat, and you might get a headache, or you might get, if you have too much, you could get a headache, or you could break out into a fight, right? So if your natural mazaj is you have a lot of heat in your body, turmeric, just chill out on it a bit. But if somebody who has low blood circulation, somebody whose hands and feet get cold, and you are somebody who gets cold, turmeric is good because it brings the blood circulation and it kind of all of that. So that's why I don't recommend it more than 3 days in a row, because everybody's mazaj is different. Yeah? Okay, winter. What does a winter body look like? The hormones have dipped low and you're in internal stillness. Internal stillness. If, as you remember on the chart, all the hormones have gone down low, if Allah wanted you to be doing lots of extra activity whilst you are bleeding, He would have given you the energy for it. He would have given you the estrogen hormone for it. He is telling you to rest. But instead, what Muslim women do is, I'm not praying, so I can go here and here and here, and I can get extra work done, I can do all the laundry, and I can do, because I don't have salah breaks, and I don't have to take my makeup off, and all that stuff. So let's go and do everything whilst I'm bleeding. Allah's natural plan for you was to practice stillness, to the extent that He is even saying, leave the salah. Leave the movement of salah, because you need to be still. And by still, I don't mean don't move and sit on your couch, because what is that? Walk, but walk with intention. Move around your home, but with intention. Speak with intention. Everything has to have presence in it. Slower, more intentional movements. When you are bleeding, this is how you connect to Allah. You're going to be craving carbs and high energy food in this time, so the best thing that you can do give yourself is big, heavy, nutritious meals. So give yourself the steak and the lamb and the broth and the heavy soups. Give yourself things that won't make you crave sugar and chocolate and crisps and all of that stuff. The winter mind, this is a time where there's supposed to be stillness in your mind. Reflect, rest, review. This is the time, allow the shifts to take place in your body and embrace all the emotion, and make sure you're having alone time in this time. So what does winter worship look like? Winter ibadah, this is one-to-one ibadah. So I think I added this here. In the seasonal ibadah, in spring and summer I wrote outward ibadah, which means that your ibadah is between you, the creation, and Allah. And in autumn and winter, it's inward ibadah. It's just you and Allah. It's one-to-one, especially late autumn. This is the time where you have Quran recited to you. Feminine energy is about receiving. And this is when we have the Quran recited to us. And I've mentioned this. I don't know I don't know how it works here in South Africa, but in the UK, there are only 2 times when women accept Quran being recited for them, where it's socially accepted for Quran to be recited. The first one is when she is so sick and so ill, she has no other choice but to go for ruqyah. And then she's a broken woman, and she goes and she has Quran recited over her. And the second one is when she dies and people recite Quran. There is no other cultural, social habit of having Quran recited to us when we know that when Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha was on her period, she said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would place his head in my lap and recite Quran to me. So when you are on your period, it is a sunnah to have your husband's head in your lap and have him recite to you. Now, I know, who's going to convince their husbands to start reciting Baqarah for them? No one's going to do that. But Fatiha, the 4 quls, anything that he knows, place his head in your lap and let him recite. And the same goes for single women. We have set up something amongst my community and my friends, the Blue Lantern ladies, is that we recite for each other. So when we get together, we say who wants to receive and who wants to give today. And then the women lie down, and then the women who want to give, they recite over the bodies. There is something about when you're reciting yourself and you have a goal and a target, and I got to finish this page and this chapter and I've got this much time, very masculine energy. It's very different when you're lying down and you have nothing else to do, but your cells are receiving the Quran, because Allah has said in the Quran, we sent this as a shifa for you. So the coding of the words in the Quran is shifa. So when you lie down and you have it recite over you, your cells are feeling shifa. It's purification. So practice this teach your children. I'm on my period, you have to recite over mama today. Practice it with your friends, practice it with your partners. Tawbah and muhasabah. We have to be doing tawbah. Shedding your lining, shedding your womb at the same time as shedding your sins is a good, powerful combination. If we're not doing tawbah in winter phase, what is the point of winter phase? So shed the sins. Ask Allah for forgiveness. Everything that however we behaved, whatever we did this past month, there is not a month that goes by where I am not ashamed of myself. There is not a month that goes by that I'm not crying to Allah going, I don't even know why, but please forgive me. I don't even know why I did it. I don't know how it happened. Please forgive me. For me, I think psychologically, women who aren't doing tawbah every month with their bleed, psychologically, how are you carrying so much burden? Because every month, I get to say, Allah is ar-Rahman. Let's start again. And let's do it again. And what happens is, if you ask for forgiveness 2-3 months in a row for the same problem, on the 4th, 5th time, you're going to get a bit of sharm. You're going to get a little bit of haya, where you're going to think, I've been doing tawbah for this for like 2-3 months in a row. I need to stop. It helps. We have an initiation process 12 times in the year to drop this huge bag of sins and say, Bismillah, Allah is kind. And just go towards Allah. Allah is kind. And I am weak and I have all of this, but Allah is kind. Right? And then having listening. So all the istikhara we did in autumn phase, now you're listening to the answers. And then the final act of ibadah in winter phase is the ghusl. It's the renewal. Okay. Oh, this is really important. So you know that stillness we were talking about? The stillness in the hormones, and there's stillness inside of you, and Allah wants you to be still to the point where He's saying, do not even pray outwardly to me, because you need to be still. There is a sister that I love. She's on Instagram. Her name's Sister Chantel Blake. And she mentioned this concept which I felt, subhanAllah, how have we misunderstood periods so much? She said, when we limit our worship to the outward, then getting our period feels like a disruption and a disconnection. And we miss the opportunity to worship Allah in the internal world. Because actually we are still supposed to be in the state of ibadah when we are on our periods. But we have believed that ibadah is an outward act and not an inward act, so that we don't need to do it, or we can't do ibadah when we're bleeding. Huge misunderstanding. The spiritual woman is always connected to God. The spiritual woman is always thinking and feeling and speaking to God, whether she's bleeding or not, whether she's in wudu or not. And this is a really, she taught this story to us, and she said there was a female student, and the female student was like, there was a class of male and female students, and everybody finished the class, everyone got up to pray salah, and her ustad, her teacher, the sheikh said to her, are you praying? And she said, prayer is not obligatory for me right now. Right? She said, prayer is not obligatory. This is how they say it in Arabic, like it's not fard upon me right now. And her sheikh said, don't say that, but say, I am in prayer. I am in the state of prayer. Why? Because waiting from one prayer to another is ibadah. Where do we get this from? The Prophet ﷺ said that when you make wudu, you pray one salah, and then you wait, or anything you do between that salah and the next salah, but you have the need to pray that next salah, everything in between is ibadah, right? So even when we pray Isha, we go to sleep with the niyyah of getting up for Fajr, that entire sleep is what? So now tell me, you as a woman who finish your final prayer before you start your period and have the intention to do that ghusl and read that first salah when your period finishes, that entire period is what for you? Ibadah. This is our religion. This is our deen. We are constantly in a state, and you are actually highly spiritual women when you are bleeding. You're hypersensitive, your nerves are hypersensitive. You are a very spiritual woman in that time, but nobody taught us how to tap into it. Nobody taught us how to use it. Has anybody heard of the story of Umayyah bint Qais? Anybody heard that story before? Okay. So I want you to just think back for a second of your very first period experience. The very first period you had and what happened on that day. Who was there? Who connected with you? Who did you talk to? What were the feelings? Was it a positive one? Was it a negative one? Was it a sad one? And just write down a couple of words associated to it. And then we're going to talk about how Umayyah had her very first period. It would be interesting to hear the South African experience of first periods. We have some very funny stories in the UK. And I had some very funny stories in Turkey. Some traumatic ones in Malaysia. Some terrible ones in the Lebanese community in Australia. Yeah, we have, all across the world, women have had very bad stories. Some really nice ones, but most women have had like really horrible stories. But okay, so you've thought about your very first period. Now I want to take you on a journey of experiencing the first period through Umayyah. And I want you to imagine that this is you. I want you to imagine that you are living her experience. So Umayyah bint Qais is a young girl at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, this I'll give you the reference for this hadith, and I'm gonna on the next slide. The hadith is there that you can take a picture and teach people about this hadith. Okay, but I just need you to hear the story, and this is such an important story. It's pivotal for the puberty experience. It's pivotal for that, and we need to teach young girls this story. Umayyah bint Qais is a young girl at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Actually, when she's telling this story, she's an old woman. So imagine this old woman telling this story about her very first period when she was young. So she's saying that the Prophet ﷺ was going out on an expedition, like an expedition to fight for Islam, but it was like a military campaign. And she said, a group of our women from our tribes asked the Prophet ﷺ, can we come with you and can we help? What did the Prophet ﷺ say? What would he say? Yes, of course. No. He said, yes, of course. He didn't say yes, of course, but he said, yes, you can come. The women said, we want to help on the military campaign, and the Prophet ﷺ gave them ijazah. He said, yes, come. So Umayyah is saying that we're traveling out with the Prophet ﷺ and all the women and the caravan, and she said, and I was placed on the camel of the Prophet ﷺ's luggage. So she's sitting on the luggage of the Prophet ﷺ, all of his saman is on that camel. And she said, as we were riding, I saw blood on the camel. And she said, I saw it and I got nervous. And she said, I sat forward and I sat over it. I want to give you the modern day equivalent example of what that would be. You're riding in your sheikh's car. He's got white or cream leather seats. You're sitting in the back and you start your period. That's what that is. That is the modern day equivalent, except it's the Prophet ﷺ. And you are on his camel. So then Umayyah tells us that everybody stopped for a break, and the Prophet ﷺ came towards her and he saw, and he said, he didn't ignore it. He didn't ignore it. He acknowledged, he said, perhaps you have started your menses? And she said, yes. What happens after that and how the Prophet ﷺ interacted with her in this time is so pivotal in educating our men and educating our women on how to interact with a young girl who has experienced puberty. The Prophet ﷺ left an incredible example. He ﷺ said, first, go tend to yourself. So go tend to yourself, like find a cloth, put something on. Then he said, get salt, mix it with water, and clean the part where the blood is on. So first he gives her space. First he asks her and acknowledges it. Then he says, go get the space that you need as a young lady now to tend to yourself. Then he gives her a fiqh of tahara lesson. Then he teaches her how to purify the blood and how to purify herself. And then he said what was, in my opinion, the most important thing that you can say to a young lady who has transitioned from a child to a woman. He said, then come back. Why is this important? Because had the Prophet ﷺ at the time said, oh, you're a woman now, go travel with the women, you don't need to be on my camel anymore, she would have for the rest of her life associated her period to being distant from Rasulullah ﷺ. But the way she's telling this story, listen to the wording. So she's saying, the Prophet ﷺ told me to tend to myself, told me how to clean the blood. Then he said, come back. Then she said, we conquer Khaybar. And the Prophet ﷺ, after conquering Khaybar, the Prophet ﷺ brings a necklace to me. He brings a necklace and he places it on my neck himself. And then she said, by Allah, I will never be parted from this necklace. This is what she's saying. Can you feel the pride? Can you feel the pride in her voice? By Allah, I will never be parted from this necklace. And she was buried with that necklace. The Prophet ﷺ, the day the Prophet ﷺ put that necklace around her neck, it never was taken off, and she was buried with that necklace. Now let's go back. Let's understand what happened. He acknowledged her period. He taught her how to purify herself. And then he said, come back, because the fact that you're a woman now doesn't distance you from Rasulullah ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ is not just for men and children. He is for us. And we can be close to him. Then what happens? He's so, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he's so emotionally intelligent that he didn't want this to be her memory associated to embarrassment. He's so emotionally intelligent that he thought she's going to be embarrassed for a long time. So how do we turn this into a memory that she cherishes? So he took a little girl. He got a necklace for her and he placed it on her herself, and automatically this entire memory has now been one of her most proudest moments in her life. This is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with periods. This is his interaction with periods. So I'm teaching this course. Like 2 years ago, I was teaching this course, and I told people, like, it was an online course, so I told hundreds of women about this, and I said, it's sunnah. It's sunnah to give a girl a necklace when she starts her period. So let's all make the intention to buy one necklace, at least for one girl, to fulfill this one sunnah. So I teach the women this course, like hundreds of women on there. They're always sending me pictures and videos of, like, I bought this necklace for my daughter, and they're sending me all this stuff online, right? Until I'm sitting in Scotland, and I'm sitting with a sheikh and his wife. And he's a learned man, and his wife had done the course, and she said, so we bought the necklace, and and thank you so much, and I heard the story, and we did this for our daughter. And I said to the wife, you gave her the necklace? And he said, no, it's sunnah for a man to give the necklace to the girl. And my heart, I just started crying. In the middle of a cafe in Scotland, I'm crying, because I didn't even think it was possible that we could get our men to fulfill this sunnah. So then, in the next time I did this course online, I told all the people the story of the Ustadha that put the necklace on himself because he said it's a sunnah for a man to do it. And I thought, the shift that would happen inside a girl's brain when her father or her brother or her uncle puts a necklace on her and saying, welcome into womanhood, this is the sunnah, this is Umayyah's story. The shift that would take place in her relationship with men, how she feels around men, how she behaves around men, how she feels honored and respected in this religion. So then I told people, and now I get videos and pictures of dads putting necklaces around their daughters. And it is just the sweetest thing, and it's my best thing to receive from the internet. Take a picture of this. So I didn't put the whole story, but if you type in muhaddithat, and you type in muhaddithat Umayyah bint Qais into Google, the full story will come up. Sorry. Okay, we have 20 minutes left, inshallah. We're going to do the final bit, and then we're going to wrap up for Q&A. So on your worksheets, I have given you a list of all the things that you can do for womb care. So I'm not going to stay on this area for too long. But if you want to take care of your womb and you want to start taking care of your womb from today onwards, this is your list. The right breakfast means protein heavy, and what else do you need to know? Stomach massage, I'm going to show you the stomach massage now. Mizan therapy and atmat, there are massages specifically for the womb to help balance the womb. Buffer times, dim light, screen detox. Screen detox is really important. 2 hours before you go to sleep. If you're looking at screens 2 hours before you go to sleep, just know it's going to mess with your hormones. It's going to mess with your hormones. So if you want to have a healthy, happy womb, put the phones away and put the screens away before going to bed. Right, so this massage, let me tell you about this massage. So I have trained in a therapy called Mizan therapy. And essentially, it's called Mizan therapy in the UK, and it's been termed that. But what it actually is a very old ancestral massage that women have been doing on other women for generations in South Asian culture, in Arab culture, and in African culture. This was a part of our tradition. And as a South Asian, I remember the auntie who used to come round for women who couldn't get pregnant, and she used to do this stomach massage on her. And she used to help women get pregnant. Mizan therapy It's something that you can look into. There are courses for it online, but it's mostly in-person training. And what essentially we do is we massage the stomach, the legs, and the back to help the womb, because all the ligaments and all the nerves and everything here and here is connected to the womb. So whenever the womb is having issues, we massage all of this area and this area. I'm going to teach you a massage that you should be doing every single day to take care of your womb. If you have PMS problems, if you have period issues, if you have perimenopausal issues, if you have any type of hormonal issues, if you do this massage every single night before you go to sleep, your symptoms will significantly reduce. It's purely science-based, and it's brilliant. I had Mizan therapy done. I told you, they diagnosed me with PCOS, and they said you won't be able to get pregnant. I wasn't even trying to get pregnant. I had Mizan therapy done and accidentally got pregnant. That's how good it is. When the doctor said to me, you've been taking the pill for so many years, you're not going to get pregnant for 6 months yet. And I went for 2 sessions. On the third one, she said, you're pregnant. I was like, no way. No, it's just not possible. And she was like, you're pregnant. I'm going to do the massage different. I still didn't believe. I didn't take the test for weeks, until I vomited on stage. Not on stage, but I had to leave stage and go and vomit at an event. And I was like, maybe I should take it seriously now. So let's start this massage. What I'm going to ask you to do is just practice over your stomachs. All of these strokes are connected to something that's connected to the womb. So your organs and your digestive system and your womb, everything is interconnected. If you have womb problems, you're going to have gut problems. If you have gut problems, you're going to have some kind of bowel or bladder problems. Everything's connected. So when we're massaging this whole area, what we're doing essentially is supporting all the ligaments and all the muscles that are connected to the womb. So every single night, when you're lying down in bed, rub some oil on your hands. Make sure your hands are really nice and warm. And then you start with just placing your hands on your stomach. I need you to practice with me. Come on. So you place your hands on your stomach like this and just kind of feel the presence and the heat from your hands. And then what you do is you start from your right hand side. And can you feel your hip bone? You start from the right hand side and you stroke all the way across to the middle. 1, 2, 3. So that's this movement here. 1, 2, 3. Apply a reasonable amount of pressure. If you have gut problems, this is going to be really good for that. If you have any type of digestive bowel issues, anything in this area, it's going to be really useful. This massage, by the way, is suitable for children and men. So you can do it on your husbands. It will be good for their vitality, good for their libido, it's good for their health, it's good for their gut health, and mental health is very connected. So if your husband has low moods, if you do this massage on him, it's going to help his mental health. So this is a generic massage across the board for men, women, and children. I do this on my son and my husband all the time. So we're stroking across into the middle. And then we go from the left-hand side and stroke into the middle 3 times. And then we go from the middle, where the pelvic bone is, where you can feel the bone, and you stroke up towards your belly button. So 1, 2, 3. And then you go to the right-hand side, where your rib bone is, and then you stroke down towards your belly button. Can you see this? This motion here. And you do that 3 times, and you do that 3 times. Also, when I say 3 times, do it for as long as you feel like you should. So you can do 3 times, and you can do the whole thing, and then you can come back to it again. But I spend a lot of time in this area. I spend a lot of time just massaging that area because I feel like it needs a lot of support for the gut, my gut and digestive system too. Once you've done these diagonal strokes, now you're coming here. Now, can you feel the gap between your ribs? Feel the gap between your ribs, that soft bit? You're going from there and you're stroking all the way down. All the way down. But here, just use a bit more pressure. And sometimes what we do is a zigzag massage. So you zigzag all the way down to your belly button. But as you do that, we should be breathing. So breathe in. And then as you breathe out, zigzag all the way down to the belly button. This is a really good spot. This is the center of a lot of nerves and a lot of blood circulation issues. So there's a lot happening here. And when we have anxiety and stress, this is the first area that takes a hit. You know that feeling that you get here? This is the first place that feels the hit. So this is a very important place. So zigzagging and stroking that part. So this is the first stage. And then you have, oh, I didn't add it. So then you have the stroking up. So this is really good for digestive system. Stroke up from the right-hand side, across your stomach, and then down. And again, stroke up, across, and down. And then what you can do, if you remember the third step, is you put your finger on your belly button and you spiral out. And you spiral all the way out until you've reached the edges of your stomach. All of these things are good for digestion, blood circulation, nervous system, vitality, libido, periods, everything. Everything that the womb needs help with, everything that the body in this area needs help with, it will help with that. So please, do it on your children, do it on your husbands. It will really help them. Take a picture of this, because it's not on your worksheets. If you do this massage every single night, I promise you, I'm so sure, your PMS symptoms and your period issues will be significantly reduced. It's a really powerful massage. There are Mizan therapists all over the UK and in Australia and in Morocco, everywhere doing this for women and helping them with so many issues. My mom has perimenopausal problems and she goes for this every month and it's helped her so much. Okay, so to wrap up, what is the benefit of living in sync with your cycle? So what do I mean by in sync with your cycle? I mean, when you are in spring, eat spring foods, act like a spring woman, do the spring things. When you're in summer, when you're in autumn, do what you need to do in that time. Eat what you need to eat and behave as though you need to behave. What are the benefits of living in sync with your cycle? You will have happier, healthier periods. You will avoid burnout and manage your mood changes. So these highs and lows that women are experiencing, we're not supposed to be experiencing these. We're not supposed to be erratic and crazy and emotional and all of this anger and frustration. That's not us. That's us as a product of today's society and the way that we're being pushed all the time. So you will avoid burnouts and manage stress, studies, your home life, your married life, everything will be managed better. You'll have a healthy social life and an individual relationship with Allah. So half the month you're out and you're doing khidmah and you're in your community, and then the second half you're with Allah and it's you. And it's a good balance. And you optimize your fertility. It's a healthy form of contraception. If anyone has any questions on that, let me know. And it's a very wholesome approach to self-development, because here's the thing, we can get as much therapy as we want or need. We can take as many courses as like female empowerment and how do I do this and how do I become a sensible businesswoman, or we can take all the courses we want on self-development, but if we're not really dealing with what's happening inside, and we're not living with what's happening inside, we're constantly going to be at war. And in autumn, in late autumn, you have to rest. You have to sleep. You have to ask for help. And women say to me, how can you do that when you have children? It's not possible. And I say, that is the time where you hire a nanny, or you hire somebody, you hire extra help, either for a cleaner or to take care of your children for like 2 hours a day for 3 days, or 1 full day the day before you start your period. And then the next question that women say, or not question, comment that women say is, I can't afford that. Women in the UK definitely say that to me, I can't afford that. And I say, I can guarantee that you can afford it. I promise you can afford it. Let me tell you how I afford it. I don't buy first-hand clothes for my son. I don't buy brand new shop-bought clothes for my son. Whilst I was in the UK, obviously South Africa, life is like a lot cheaper. But I don't buy shop-bought clothes for my son. Instead, what happens is all of his cousins, I say, does anybody have any leftover clothes that they've outgrown? And I collect them every few months. I collect them. And all the money that I save from not buying clothes, which I know my son has no idea what he's putting on his body, but he knows when his mom is happy or he knows when his mom is exhausted. So what is he actually going to really remember? He's going to remember whether I have a happy mom or a burnt-out mom. So the money that I save from the clothes and the shoes that I get from his cousins, I use that money to pay for a nanny once a week. And when just before I'm about to start my period, maybe twice a week. And that's how I can guarantee that there is always a way to rest. There is always a way to rest. You can never have an excuse for not resting. Haram on you, because it's taking a hit on your spirituality. It's taking a hit on your relationship with God. If now, hopefully by the end of this, now you understand that taking care of ourselves has a direct connection with connecting to Allah. And everything that we've learned is for Allah. Because at the end of the day, tomorrow if we die, we're not going to be mothers. The fact that we were mothers is irrelevant. The fact that we were wives is irrelevant. The fact that we are working women is irrelevant. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is that I'm a soul that wants to connect with my Lord. That's it. And welcome to the cyclical awakening. This is officially you completed the course. Now let's give you here we go, resources, books. Take a picture of that. I don't know how much of these you'll have access to in South Africa, but let me tell you which ones you definitely need to get. If you want to fix your period, if you have any type of period problem, Nicole Jardim's Fix Your Period. She puts you on a 6-week program to fix your thyroid, your gut, and all of the different areas, and that gets your period back on track. If you want to know more about seasons, Period Power by Macy Hill. If you want to know more about seasons from like a more kind of medical perspective and what to eat and all of those kind of things, In the Flow. So Period Power, In the Flow, and Fix Your Period are 3 very important books that if you can get access to here, please do. Okay, Bismillah. I think what we should do is, I'll take questions now, and I think what we should do, if we have time, just a little bit of dhikr to finish it off. I think that would be nice, yeah. Let's do that, just to kind of help settle the information into our bodies. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, go on.
So, I suffer with depression, and I find it difficult to always put into the specific seasons. So, for instance, when I'm supposed to be happy and feeling full of energy, I'm just feeling out of it, no energy.
So that's what is the question?
So like, how do I deal with that?
Okay, so that's a good one, because actually it's not just relevant to depression. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't mention it. If you do not, so women that come to me and say, I'm in spring, I'm in summer right now, but I don't feel it, I feel burnt out. And I will say, what did you do when you were on your period? And tell me your timetable and your schedule when you were in late autumn. And usually what happens is women who are not resting in late autumn and in their period. And in the period phase, you don't have to rest for the whole period. It's just the first 3 days. For me, it's just the first 2 days. My autumn is harder, so I take 3 days out in autumn, and I take 2 days out in my bleed, and I'm good to go. I'm ready to take care of my family and take care of everyone. So it's not just a depression thing, but if you are not resting, if you are not taking time out for yourself, then you will feel tired and burnt out in spring and summer. That is your sign that you're not resting enough. So that's the first point. When it comes to depression, I used certain herbs to get back on track to counteract depression. One of the herbs that I drank a lot was saffron, because saffron is antidepressant, and it's a feel-good herb. Like, it's a hormonal herb. It's a herb that lifts your spirits. So if in spring and summer you feel like you're really low, have saffron tea. So make saffron tea every single day and drink it, and it will lift up your moods. And any other herbs that you can do as a mood booster, use them. Yep. And any other questions?
Yeah, I'm also on the pill, so then I have to change the season that I go through.
You're also?
On the pill.
Oh. Okay, so here's the what's it called? Caveat? Here's the issue with the pill. The pill doesn't give you a real bleed. The pill is a synthetic artificial bleed. So you don't go through the big beautiful seasons that you go through, and the hormones. It's stunted because there's no proper ovulation and there's no proper bleed. So and you know the history behind that? It's really fascinating what they did. So the pharmaceutical companies, when they first created the pill so the women could go to work, because we lost men in the war, so the women had to go to work, they put women on the pill, but the pill had no bleed. And the women then they were a lot more intuitive than the women, us today. They said, that's really unnatural. We're not gonna take that pill, because how can I not have a bleed every month? It's so unnatural. And so they said, oh, we have to create a synthetic bleed as part of the pill so that they take it. So then they did that, and then sales went up, and then, they made a lot of money from it, because women thought, I'm still bleeding. Women today ask the doctor for the pill that gives them no bleed, because we're so disconnected from our bodies now. Back to the point. The pill suppresses the natural hormonal cycle. So now the next question is, if I'm married and I'm on the pill, then how do I not get pregnant? There is an entire movement around the world called natural contraception. And this is about knowing your seasons and your cycle, knowing your fertile window, and just not consummating or being intimate in that fertile window, and then being intimate for the rest of the month. And you can do it if your cycle is regular and you know it really well. There is an app for this. It's called, Google it, it's called Natural Cycles app. You take your temperature every morning, it tracks your cycle, and it tells you whether you're fertile that day or you're not. I have been practicing natural contraception for 3 years. For 3 years. And I know women who have been practicing natural contraception for 10 years. This one woman, she was like, it's been 10 years and I haven't got pregnant, and now I'm worried. Maybe there's actually something wrong with my fertility. She went and got herself checked. Nothing's wrong with her. It works. It's a method that works. The pill gives you depression. The pill gave me depression. So I had depression in my genes. I had PCOS, and then I took the pill, textbook. The pill gives you depression, it lowers your libido, it gives you mood swings, it suppresses your seasons, the estrogen and the progesterone production is all over the place. The pill is very unhealthy for women. So if you can, for whatever, I don't know why you take it, but if you can, slowly find a way to get off it. And then Natural Cycles app will literally tell you when you're fertile, when you're not, and just check your temperature every morning with it, and track your seasons, track your cycle. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, let's go to Sister Farzana, and then we'll come here.
Okay, so if you are taking a contraceptive pill, how did you do that process, or do you just stop it?
Well, you can't take the pill on and off, day on and day off. So what I would say is so your husband is going to have to work with you on this. So you get off the pill. And I say this hoping that everybody here is a sensible woman and is not going to go and get themselves pregnant, and be not sensible about it. Okay? So yeah, I hope that everybody here understands. You get off the pill, and then you work with your husband and you say, okay, so my cycle isn't fully regular yet. So we can do this, so we can use alternative methods, or you can wait until my cycle is steady, and then we can get intimate. So your husband has to work with you and be patient, and for a temporary period, maybe use alternative methods for contraception. There is a lot of information online about this. So you can do your research on this. Natural cycles, natural contraception. It's a movement around the world. Women, Muslim, non-Muslim, mostly the non-Muslim women, middle-class women who are educated and who are all into well-being, they're all getting off the pill. They're saying, this is giving me depression, anxiety, it's really unhealthy for me. So women, there's so much information online about it. So just do the research and check it out. But my advice would be get off the pill, then be sensible, be extremely sensible for the next 2, 3, 4 months, and decide, make sure you're using all of the methods to protect yourself. And then once your cycle is regular and you can literally track it and read it really well, then inshallah khair.
So in relation to that, I have PCOS, and with getting off the pill, what happens when you...
The PCOS, they gave me the pill for 10 years to control my PCOS. It did nothing for me but gave me depression and only cleared my acne. So I was happy as a teenage girl saying, yay, I don't have spots anymore. But it caused so much damage and so much harm to my body.
So I had 1 month of not being on the pill, and I was already with a golf ball size that needed to be removed.
In 1 month?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have access to hijama here? Yeah, okay. So hijama, can really help. If you don't have access to the womb massages that the ladies do, hijama is the next best thing. So when I first got off the pill, I was getting hijama done over my ovaries or my back. And we have a lot of women that we refer, women who are in countries that don't have access to the women with the mizan massage. We say to them, hijama twice a month minimum. And get so as you're taking the dirty blood out, it's helping the ovaries. Also, if you're planning to get off the pill and you have an extreme case like yourself, you need a naturopath, you need a therapist, and you need all the support network around you. So a herbalist, a naturopath, a therapist, a hijama person. So you need to make sure your network is solid for when you do get off the pill, you have all the support you need. It can be done. I've seen women come back from it, come back from the pill, and come back from PCOS and endometriosis and fibroids. But it's just a lot of work, a lot of work. And you just have to choose, what do you want? Shall we do some dhikr or any other questions? Oh, you had a question.
Yes. If you've been diagnosed with hormonal imbalances, what can you do to sort them?
Herbs, the massage, hijama, diet. Yeah. Do you have accesses to naturopaths and hakims here? Find a hakim. They'll tell you what to do. And pay whatever you need to pay. This is not even a matter of I can't afford this. If you've been diagnosed with any type of hormonal problems or mental health problems, pay the hakim and get your support. Get therapy and get a hakim. We can't keep living like this. We can't, it's not okay. Cut down costs in other areas of your life wherever you can and invest this money in your health and your spirituality. We cannot keep living like this. Muslim women are all over the place. And it's not just women in the UK. I've been around the world, and everywhere I go, women are exhausted. Muslim women are so tired because they're just giving and giving and giving, and there is no investment or taking care of their own health or anything like that. We're not going to nail salons. We're not getting our head. Get your hair done. Be pretty, look sexy, all of that. But we're not going to we're not spending so much money on ourselves in the other way. Let's spend it on inside ourselves, to take care of our hormones and our herbs and all, to take care of internally. So please, I hope that if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the sake that the womb is sacred. And the womb is sick. It's sick because of what we've been eating and how much stress we've been taking on. So just be gentle with the womb. Hisab, the womb will speak against us. Like the limbs speak against us, like the feet and the tongue and everything will speak against us on Yawm al-Qiyamah, the womb will too. When the womb tells you every month, I have pain, I have period pain because of what you chose to eat this month, every month it's telling you, you think on Yawm al-Qiyamah it's not going to speak against us? To say, I told her I was in pain, but she took paracetamol and she didn't want to know and she went to work. Allah give us tawfiq. Listen, hey, when you learn about the seasons, it's a elating and depressing experience all at once, because you're like, where do I go? What do I do? Where do I start? The first place to start is have a protein breakfast. Just do that for a month and then pick another thing on the list, from the womb care list on your sheet, pick another thing and implement it. But the first place to start is make sure you're having the right breakfast so your hormones aren't crazy all day. Yeah? And then ask Allah for tawfiq. Ask Allah for shifa. Ask Allah for ease and openings, and He'll give them. Anybody who is seeking out God will find Him. Nobody who sets out seeking out and looking for God, man, woman, child, will God ever close the door. If you want Him, He is yours. That's it. It comes down to this. You want Him, He's yours. We just have to want Him enough, right? Okay. Shall we do some dhikr? Let's finish it off.
One more question.
Yeah?
With discharge, is the meaning of it, is it scientific as well? Is it the same?
No, this is a good question. Keep going. This is a very good question.
So the meaning, when your womb has discharge, right? Is it the same meaning that it gives when you research it as when it's through the seasons?
Yes. Yes, I didn't actually mention it, but it was on the screen. Did you guys see that your cervical mucus is different in each season? There is a lot of there's a lot of information online about it. So just type in cervical mucus and 4 phases of the cycle. Another way that your womb communicates with you every month is it will tell you exactly which season it's in based on the texture of your discharge. So it's all there. So that was brilliant. It was really good. Are we ready? Okay, bismillah. Should we do some breathing? Should we hold our wombs and say hi to the womb that has spoken to Allah and that is protected by Allah and that is loved by Allah? Okay, so anything below your belly button, that's your whole womb space, yeah? Bismillah. Bismillah. Deep breath in. Hold and release. Deep breath in. Hold and release. One more time, deep breath in. Hold and release. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Deep breath in. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد. 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 لا إله إلا الله. لا إله illallah, la ilaha 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 illallah. La ilaha illallah, Allah. 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 اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم وسلم عليه. Ya Ilahi, we ask you, make us from amongst the people that live in sync with our bodies, that honor our bodies, that honor the womb. Ya Rab, make us women who work hard, who are disciplined, who take care of our children, who honor our husbands, who honor our parents. Make us women who bring light into this world to our friends and our family members and to our communities. Ya Rab, make us women who work so hard for your creation, and then Ya Rab, make us women who rest. Ya Rab, make us women who rest. Ya Rab, make us women who rest for your sake. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to fulfill the duties and responsibilities we have to the people around us, and the duties and responsibilities we have on this earth to the earth itself. Ya Ilahi, make us conscious of our waste, conscious of our words, conscious of our behaviors, conscious of how we impact and hurt and harm people. Ya Rab, make us conscious. Ya Rab, make us women who do self-muhasabah before we have hisab done over us. Ya Rab, make us women who bring good into this world through our actions, through our words, and through our existence. Ya Ilahi, forgive our parents for they raised us when we were young. Ya Rab, forgive our parents for they raised us when we were young. Ya Allah, protect our children and protect their iman and protect the strength that they need to live in this dunya, and this ever complicated dunya. Ya Rab, give them strength and give them very firm iman. Ya Ilahi, our teachers. Bless our teachers and bless our shuyukh who placed the love of this religion into our hearts, who placed the seed into our hearts. Ya Rab, forgive them and raise their ranks and make them from amongst your chosen ones. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, dress them in the clothes of Jannah and let them sit on the thrones. Ya Rab, make them people who are close to the Prophet ﷺ in the highest of Jannah, Jannatul Firdaus, for they placed the love in our hearts that cannot be shaken. Ya Rab, we ask you to bless these communities, the communities here the communities and all the places around the world that are purely operating out of love for God and love for Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ya Rab, make us women of purpose. Ya Rab, make us women of purpose. Ya Rab, let all of this life and all of the luxuries of this life, let it not be in vain. Let us live a life of purpose. Ameen. Birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. Al-Fatiha. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat. And I had Zahra's dad's cooked, so it's going to be tasty. Would you like to do anything before we wrap up? Okay. Do you want to just give me a word of how you're feeling? Should we go around and do words?
This course was very, very valuable to me, but somehow I feel it's too late for me. I've already had a hysterectomy. I've missed out on all of that. So what is my way forward?
So what my Ustadha once said about a piece of information that I learned, and I was like, I can't believe this is like, it's too late. And she said, Allah decided for you to hear this information right here, right now, at this age in your life, at this stage in your life, for everyone. Allah chose you to hear it at 18, at 40, at 30, at 55, for you specifically. He has a plan for you. He has a plan for you. So take this information, sit with it, and think about what you can do with it. Who can you tell? Who can you share it with? What can you do in your own life to change your lifestyle based on what you learned, even though it feels like it's not applicable? But resting is always applicable. Resting for yourself is applicable. So we cannot determine when Allah gives us openings. That's for Him to decide. But it's up to us then what we do with these openings. So He decided this moment, this day, at this age, you learned this information. Why? There is a reason. How are we feeling? Should we go around? Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Good, that's a good one. That's how you should be feeling actually.
It's an awakening call.
Awakening. Cool.
It's really something that I didn't know what was going on with me as well. So it's really going to change me. Educated.
Educated. I like it.
Awakened and informed.
Awaken and informed. Nice. Nice. Good, I like that. At the back, we didn't come to you last time.
Enlightened.
Lady in pink. Enlightened, I like that one.
I think overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, yeah?
It was a lot to process all at once, but I went to madrasa all my life and I'm a healthcare professional by nature, so I'm still wondering like why nobody ever tells you like as a woman, why no healthcare professional or gynae tells you, okay, you have different cycles, why is it they don't teach us different dietary requirements, why we should eat less, why we should eat more. So the stress and the caffeine in our diet is like a general thing, but like different foods in between, why nobody informs you about that, why nobody tells you that your energy levels during your cycle is going to be different. Every day you pitch up to corporate and you're expected to look exactly the same.
Every single day. So I'll tell you why we didn't study at schools. Because there is no funding. Anything that goes into the school systems, there is funding for it. There are big people sitting somewhere who are going to make profit from this. So there is no man sitting in a corporate place saying, let's teach women that they have to rest for about 5 days every month, and that the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, doesn't work with their body. So let's teach women what they actually know. If somebody was funding it at the top somewhere, it would have trickled down and we would have learned it at school. The reason why we can't learn it at school is because it would destroy the entire economy as what they know it today. We could actually have a very flourishing economy if they worked according to female cycles, because a woman who rests 5 days a week can work non-stop for the rest of the month on like high energy mode. We would actually be a lot more productive and profit efficient if we rested in that time. We don't need 5 days work, 2 days rest. That doesn't work for our body if we rested properly. But anyway, it basically deconstructs the entire capitalist system right now. So nobody's funding it. Nobody's saying, let's teach women, because then they're going to come into work and say, it's basic biology, my energy levels are low, you can't demand from me what you had demanded from me last week. And it's basic biology and they can't, so nobody's funding it. So the reason why we don't know about it in schools is because nobody's funding it, because capitalism doesn't like it. The reason why we're not learning it in the medical system and the GPs and all that, because the medical system, you'll know, if you go back to the history of how it was designed, why it's designed, and all the doctors and all the people that are learning and studying, they don't get to learn this information. They don't even know this information. I was talking to a doctor, my doctor, about the seasons, and he was like, what? What? And I was like, spinach, reduced estrogen levels. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, try it. So he wasn't even aware himself. So they don't know, so they can't teach us. Why don't they know? Because the origin of the medical systems today are not for wholesome, holistic human beings. They're for bodies. They've separated the body from the ruh and the mind. So that's why. And I know you're feeling, what was my word?
Cheated.
I cheated. I had a word, something like that when I felt, I've forgotten the word, but I kept saying this word over and over again. This is really unfair. This shouldn't have happened. They should have told all of us. We should have been operating as soon as we hit our periods. They should have told us. This is the system, but they didn't. And process.
But I have one last question. I know a lot of my non-Muslim friends would benefit from this. Do you do this for non-Muslims as well?
So the Seasons with This course is for the spiritual woman who's seeking God. So I have non-Muslim women coming. So when I say the ibadah bit, I just translate all the Muslim terms, and I say, like, you know, this is worship, and then I kind of tailor it to like a semi-Christian or Muslim audience. So I do it like that, but it's very like Muslim themed. So I'm very clear about this is our religion, and for me that's dawah. I'm literally teaching them, look how beautiful our religion is, and we have all of this in us. So I've had Christian women come, especially like priestess women who are religious leaders. I've had them come and attend, and but before that, like, because I don't know when I'm going to be doing this again, unless we do this again, unless Zahra's not tired of me. But what was I going to say? The books. Give them the books. So Macy Hill's book and Elisa Vitti's book, tell them to get the book. They won't be spiritual, but it will have all the biology to it. It's a good thing that you're thinking about your non-Muslim friends. So let's go to one word to explain where you're at.
Wholesome.
Wholesome. That's a nice word. I like that.
Emotional.
Emotional.
Yeah, I think, you know, what happens is that we as women, we grow up always thinking that you need to be strong, you need to be there for your children are your first priority. And in doing all that you need to do for your kids, you somehow leave yourself behind. And it's so important to know that, you know what, that respect that we want from others, we need to first respect ourselves. We need to respect what is within us, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And if we didn't have that knowledge, and we want that to be given to us from others. So I think it was really informative, and it's so overwhelming to know that there's a womb in our bodies that has such a big significance, which we never knew about. So alhamdulillah, and jazakallah khairan for all that it means.
I'd just like to add on to what she said. I mean, we grew up with the phrase that Jannah lies under the feet of our mother, but we don't really understand the significance of that. And now with this knowledge, we understand why we are placed in that position.
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, I want to say more than one word. But, I feel uplifted. I think there is a lot of change that needs to happen generally. And also I feel like I'm living an accepted dua. So that's nice.
I'm excited.
Excited? I like that. It's nice.
Self-respect. I feel I've learned self-respect through this program.
Sure. Calm. Good. That's good.
Empowered, like how am I going to share this with this world, because I am a sharer.
Good. We need da'iyas. We need people going out and telling
So do you give me ijaza?
I have,
Or
you
how
know,
can you train me?
do you know, I've been asked to arrange like a training, so I'll get around to it. But you all have ijaza to tell people what you learned. You all, like, this is, please tell people. If I die tomorrow, I won't be able to teach anyone else this. But you are the only people who will be able to send me sadaqah in my grave. That's sadaqah jariyah, right? So you have to tell people.
First time I see you have a very mashallah face.
A nice word. Oh,
A very mashallah face.
Thank you.
And I feel spiritually enlightened.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. We did.
Yeah, the zikr was beautiful, of that light flowing in my body. It was deeply, deeply beautiful.
Thank you. Dhikr is my go-to. Dhikr is my, it's dhikr itself. Like, you don't need to have a good voice for dhikr. Dhikr is powerful. That's it. It's just powerful. Dhikr in of itself is a powerful thing. So alhamdulillah, thank you.
I feel precious.
I love precious.
I don't know why. Like all over the place.
Yeah, you would, because your scales are heavy right now. Both of your scales are so heavy right now. You two did this. And with the Nia of Sister Fauzana, once posted, she just told me, you were on an Instagram live, and I said, come to South Africa, please. And I made the intention that you're going to come. So her du'as and her Nia, and then you two ladies.
And me, I kept on messaging you on Instagram as well.
Did you?
Like, please come to South Africa.
Thank you so much. These are your niyas, and they've come into fruition. I never intended to come to South Africa, but it happened. And your scales are heavy today, very heavy. And Allah forgive your sins through the wasila of this gathering. And Allah forgive you and make all of your doors, open for you, all the doors that take you to Allah. And Allah forgive and overlook everything on Yawm al-Qiyamah, because today, on this day, you facilitated women connecting with their Lord just a little bit deeper through understanding themselves. So the barakah that is going to exist in your life, so make dua for them. Make dua for their parents, make dua for them, and ask Allah to forgive me. So say it 3 times. If you love me, if you're happy with me, just in your prayer say, Ya Allah forgive her, Ya Allah forgive her, forgive her. Just say it 3 times for me, and we're good. All right.